Welcome on board the USS Fake Nerd Podcast. I'm Captain Brandon T. McClure, and with me today, wrong ship. With me today is my trusty first officer, Ben Magnet.
That's me. I didn't get out of my PJs all day today.
My chief of security, Ryan Eliopoulos.
I'm wearing PJs after work today.
Very cool. And our chief engineer, Sparks Whitty, is not here right now, but he will join us sometime later this evening to discuss our exploration of the quantum realm. Now, normally we explore deep space, explore the final frontier, but now we are exploring tiny space, tiny microscopic space of the quantum realm.
There's a floating cat. Who knows what can happen in this episode?
Who knows? There's a floating baby hand. I'm excited. All right. That's my attempt to do something funny today. So let's get right into it. How are you guys tonight? I'm
tired, but let's not talk about that. I'm happy to be here.
Before we get into links, I do want to shout out Sparks Whitty, who is not here right now. I love to just kind of say how talented our friend is. So he has designed a couple of new logos that you're going to be seeing throughout the year, because we're trying a new system for discussing franchises. As you guys know, we've recently done the Scream franchise, and we have more franchises that we want to go through, plus tons of movie reviews and things like that. So we have decided to kind of make not a new show, but a brand that they will all be in. So it will be easy to find for people on YouTube, and they will be all. I'm going to start separating the movie reviews on our audio feed so that they're going to be available just separately from the episode. And they were going to be under the brand of Fake Nerd Cinephile. Here it is.
Ooh, glasses.
So that is the normal Fake Nerd Cinephile logo. And because we discussed Scream, here is the horror one.
Ooh,
yeah.
So I've already discussed with my friend Sparks Whitty, who happens to live with me, to make this easy. Now that we have a horror branded thing, we're just gonna watch. We're just gonna any horror movie that comes out, we're just gonna watch and review it, because we don't need to wait or do anything, because we got this thing now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree. That's gonna be so guys. We love doing a lot of things, and now we've got kind of a way to make it a little easier on us and a little easier on you guys. For those of you who are audio only, obviously you could not see those logos, but they will be available on social media for you guys to check out. But yes, thank you to Sparks, for designing those. Those are beautiful logos.
They're very cool. Can't wait to utilize.
I dig them.
Let's talk about some links in the description
of Zelda.
I'm gonna ejecting you from the ship.
It's too early.
just opening the airlock, and there you go.
Okay, bye.
I've got a couple of articles on CBR.com. My author page is up now, so that's what's linked below, and you guys can check out some of my things. Like I did the non-MCU superhero movie review, list. A 3D 2D hybrid animated movie list. That was a lot of fun to research and do. I think there's one more up, but it doesn't matter. But that's there if you want to check out any of those links. Check them out. As well as my triumphant return to Atomic Geekdom this week happened. Atomic Geekdom published my article on just kind of my thoughts on DC. You heard most of them on this episode a couple of weeks ago. The new DC regime. Did you just shrink?
Yes. It was intended.
It was funny. So you heard some of those thoughts already a couple episodes ago, but now I've just kind of put them all into an essay, basically, and you can read those if you'd like. It's a little long, but I'm pretty happy with it. As well as my my Infinity Saga, revisiting the Infinity Saga series has returned. Issue entry 29, which is about Killmonger and why I think he's such a cool villain. So you can check both of those out, linked below. Now Ben's turn, because he's got Grayson Live and D and Dark.
Yes, I do. So, of course, D and Dark, we finished the battle with our, with our other selves, and now we're going to try and see if we can get Larry to alleviate this curse that he's, we know above the table, we know that he's the werewolf, but on the table, we have no idea. We're just trying to help a friend of ours. So, hijinks ensue. So, go ahead, check that out. And, of course, Grayson Live.
Ben.
What?
in order to get his curse, to get Larry's curse reversed, you got cursed.
Oh yeah, I totally did.
You hate to
My
see it.
dumbass grabbed a sword of vengeance, and I got cursed like an idiot.
Very funny. It was very funny to listen to. I enjoyed it.
Honestly, when I was re-listening to it, I'm like, I am gonna get so much shit from Brandon when he listens to this. God
No.
damn it.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, I did deserve it because I was like, ooh, sword. Every other time I see like shiny sword in the middle of nowhere, I should be doing an Arcana check, even though I'm not the greatest with Arcana, but I should be doing a check anyway instead of, ooh, let me grab it. Shh, I'm cursed now.
Hey, sometimes you just see a cool sword and you're like, I want that sword.
I did. And, well, also I needed a better weapon because my short sword wasn't going to cut it. Yeah, so I got cursed, but luckily it's not as bad of a curse as Larry's. So there's that. Going back to Grayson Live, we finally cleaned up Super Mario World.
Oh, you're done.
I believe we have like one more episode left, either one or two more episodes left, because we did get all of the stars. We got all the stars. We got to the top of all the flagpoles, and in that game, once you do that, it unlocks the bonus levels.
Oh.
Where you can go unlock Rosalina, and they're a lot harder, and then they lead you to the hardest level in the game, which is Champions Road. And I believe there's two more episodes, because after Kitty Bowser, there's two more episodes with us trying to play through the extra levels, and that's when we're like, we're done. But yeah, I still need to go to his place and record some more stuff. But yeah, we have cleaned up Super Mario 3D World, so woohoo!
Let's go.
Now, as far as this network is concerned, a couple of things dropped this week, such as we told you about it last week, our Phase 4 rankings with MikeMignola. Mike was kind enough to come onto the show and discuss every entry of Phase 4, minus I Am Groot, and rank them. So that was a lot of fun. He's always a joy to work with. If you want to listen to him say he loves us, that's there.
It's always nice.
It's always nice, isn't it? That's available both audio and video that you can check out, as well as The Last of Us, Episode 5. Ryan, you and Sparks.
Guns are loaded. Yeah, hey, guess what? Show continues to be fantastic. Episode 6 premiered tonight, and we'll have Episode 6 a review sometime next week.
Excellent. And then you're probably going to take a little time off because Sparks is out of town.
Yes, so both Sparks and Pi are going to be out of town at the same time, and I'm not going to be talking to the camera to myself because I can't do that. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to miss it with my friends. So we're gonna skip 2 weeks and then do a 2-episode discussion, which will probably be a big episode before the finale.
Excellent. I have to stay tuned for that. Speaking of Fake Nerds Watch, that's, by the way, audio and video in the description below. But Fake Nerds Watch audio feed had a huge drop this week. We dropped a few complete series on Fake Nerds Watch, such as Star Trek Picard's Season 1 and 2 discussion. Season 1, my discussion with Michael Carls of the Downright Nerdy, now the defunct Michael Carls of the Downright Nerdy podcast. By the way, congratulations on your child if you're listening to this.
He's all familyed up.
Yeah. And Cookie did join me for Season 2 from Just a Little Podcast. So you can check out both those discussions available, as well as our discussion of Loki Season 1. Now, all of those came up because some big things happened this week. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Star Trek Picard Season 3. So, that's kind of what you're going to be seeing from Fake Nerds Watch. These kind of massive drops in audio to just kind of be like, hey, here's what we did prior to the upcoming stuff.
If you've seen it before, you can watch it again or ignore it or just pretend it's the first time you've ever heard it and go, wow, these are great opinions. I love these opinions. Thank you. So of course, the Fake Nerds Watch audio feed is linked below if you guys want to check that out and subscribe. And if you haven't, because if you're just doing audio, you probably have not heard Fake Nerds Watch. So there you go. It's there now. Absolutely.
Then Basement Arcade dropped our only an audio was the Nintendo Direct discussion from last week's episode. That dropped as an only audio discussion.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like but mini Direct.
Yeah. And you had a full episode drop that both audio and video.
Yes. So the full episode is me talking with Ryan Payne, Retro Game Brews, who's from the Gamers Week podcast. And he and I just talk about one of our favorite topics to study on our own, and that's video game history. So go ahead, get at the listen. We talk about stuff from Atari in the 70s. We talk about of course the console war, and we just it was a very good and very fun conversation. So I highly recommend it. Definitely go check it out. And also, if you want to hear mine and Ryan's takes on the Nintendo Direct that dropped last week, the whole discussion is there from, like Brandon said, our episode from Fake Nerd Podcast last week. We didn't talk about everything that the Nintendo Direct had to offer. We just talked about the stuff that us ourselves were really excited about. So yeah, go give that a listen.
Hey, 30 minutes. We talked about a good amount of games.
We did. We definitely did.
It's a good chunk of minutes.
Mm-hmm. Good chunk.
Spicy meatball.
But that's all the links you can find in the description below for this week. Please check them out. We work really hard. We love to see you guys support us. Our channel is growing by like 1 subscriber a day these days, which is really cool. By the way,
slow but steady.
We've almost passed 240 subscribers. That's really cool. Our Black Adam trailer, for some reason, is at 8,000 views.
People just they just want to shit on that movie. I get it. But we're I know we're somewhat positive in there, but I'm like, that's really funny.
And I don't know, maybe just me straight up coming off hot saying that it was mid the second.
Honestly, then that might be it. They're like, yeah, I like this guy's attitude, and you're like, oh, he kind of likes it though. Oh. My favorite part. I will not be shy of saying that my favorite part of that movie was when Superman shows up. That was the only part that got me stupid excited about that.
You had me.
Not even in the movie.
You had me at Superman. That was the last thing I said. That's a good thing you said it.
Yeah. Sorry, Henry.
Yeah.
All right. So please check them out. We greatly appreciate it. All right. Who wants to go first of the week?
I will. I didn't do a whole lot.
Do it.
So the main thing I really want to talk about is the first game I completed in the year 2023 is Final Fantasy, the original. As you guys know, I've been playing it on my PlayStation Vita, and I finally beat the final boss last night. And I must say, after beating it, it's really good. I had fun with it. I mean, thankfully, once again, it's the very first Final Fantasy. Looking down the line of other great titles, you can tell that this was the basis of what they built the rest of the games on or off of.
So you're saying they should make a couple sequels?
No, they did make a lot of sequels. Yeah. Number 16 is coming out soon. And a lot of spin-offs too, but that's not the point. The point is,
I hadn't heard about this. What is it called? What's it called? Final Fantasy? Wait, like the movie. There was a movie, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. Stop.
Spirits Within?
I've never seen that movie, actually.
I have.
Oh, that's surprising.
I've only seen Kingsglaive and Advent Children.
Those are video game ass anime stuff. They tried to make a movie.
I know.
And it was
nah. It was nah.
Nah.
But yes. So the original Final Fantasy, I haven't played because there's multiple versions of the original Final Fantasy. I would definitely say this is me being biased because the PlayStation Portable one has a lot of quality of life improvements that the original one on the NES does not have, obviously. But I have heard good things about the Game Boy port, which is very simple. Still, I want to say it still uses MP instead of spell slots. But if you could get your hands or find a way to play it on the PlayStation Portable, the art is gorgeous. I know the Pixel Remaster, it makes all the pixels look beautiful and shiny and everything, but the way they redesigned the pixels of the characters in the PSP port is phenomenal. They still look they still look very recognizable from their 8-bit counterparts, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So if you have a way to play the PSP version of Final Fantasy, the first one, I would say that's the best way to play it, to be perfectly honest. Because I tried playing the original Final Fantasy on my NES Mini. It's good, but once again, it's the NES. It's an 8-bit system. It's very hard to look at sometimes. Whereas you look at the PSP port, while it's crisp, you can see the animation just pops, or at least the sprite work just pops. The artwork is gorgeous. So yeah, the original Final Fantasy, I'm very glad I played it. It was honestly a game I never thought I would play in my entire life, or at least I would beat in my entire life. But I've beaten Chaos, and I have to say I really liked my journey to play it. So definitely give it a go.
Now that you've beaten Chaos, now you need to play Stranger of Paradise.
I kind of do.
You can find out the origins about all that nonsense.
I kind of do, and I kind of want to now. Although
it's a Dark Souls game, bro. You're gonna love it, I bet.
It is already. Although there are a few other RPGs a few other games that are banging at the backlog door that are begging to be played and finished.
Yeah.
So besides that, today I did not record D and Dark, but instead, Grayson wanted to test his DMing skills, and he devised a honeypot campaign for us. Now, who here knows what a honey or not a honeypot, a honey heist? Who here knows what a honey heist is?
Nope.
I mean, I've watched Critical Role, so.
Okay. So Brandon, a honey heist is essentially a very short one-shot campaign where you and your party play as bears, and your goal is to steal honey and not get caught.
That sounds delightful.
It was awesome. I played a grizzly bear wearing a cowboy hat, and I spoke in a southern accent the whole time.
Oh no,
That does sound like a good time.
Yeah, so that was fun. It was really fun. Grayson wanted to stretch his DMing muscles, and we didn't have anything else going on. Our next session to record is a few weeks away still, so it was a fun time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anything else, Ben?
I'm trying to think. Anything else? I know I saw a movie last night. That was fun. And nope, that's about it.
Ryan?
Let's see. I continue to just goof around in my new VR machine. That's a lot of fun, just goofing off. I mostly didn't do anything this week. I read a bunch of Kang comics. Like, I read a lot of Kang comics, basically. If it was on Marvel Unlimited, they have a little section called The Age of Kang. And they're like, hey, do you want to read Rama Tut's first appearance? And I'm like, thank you. And then, like, hey, do you want to read Immortus' first appearance? And I'm like, thank you. You want to read Citizen Kang? Hell yeah. You want to read Kang Dynasty? Thank you very much. How much is this? Only $9.99 a month, and I've read like 30 comics. Thank you. So I've read a lot about Kang. That dude is real dumb and a lot of fun. Can't wait to talk about him later.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
I don't have much to talk about either. I listened to a lot. I saw The Whale and 80 for Brady. I don't really have a lot to say about either, though, specifically 80 for Brady. The Whale, Brendan Fraser delivers an incredible performance. I'll say that.
Okay, but I need to know, what is 80 for Brady about?
A bunch of 80-year-olds. Nope, I'm sorry. A bunch of 80-year-olds and Sally Field, who very specifically says she is not 80 years old yet, go to the Super Bowl because they love Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. It's about Tom Brady.
Huh.
Yeah, it's based on a true story, apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a movie or like a documentary?
It's a movie.
Oh shit! I didn't know anything about it, so I assumed it was a documentary about Tom Brady.
It's these four older women: Sally Field, Lily Tomlin, Rita Moreno, and Jane Fonda. They play women in their 80s who really love Tom Brady. They're like big Tom Brady fans, and Lily Tomlin had cancer, and then they got really excited about football and the Super Bowl, and they're like huge Super Bowl fans and football fans, and so like they wanted to go to the Super Bowl because Tom Brady might be retiring soon. It's set in 2017. I don't know how accurate that is to Tom Brady's retirement.
It's 5 years before he decided to retire. That's when the rumors. Sorry, full football brain. That was.
We're talking about a football movie. It's allowed.
No. I want to say that was the year they beat the Falcons. They came back from a 28-3 upset. It was either that year or it was. Yeah,
because that's what the movie's about. It's about how Lily Tomlin talks to Tom Brady during the game and inspired Tom Brady to bring the whoever they play for to make the comeback because they were losing so badly.
Wow. Every Atlanta Falcons fan is probably gonna hate that movie.
Anyway, it's less than 2 hours. It's inoffensive. It's charming. It's whatever.
Well, and inoffensive unless you're an Atlanta Falcons fan. They don't like being reminded about that game.
PTSD.
And Jane Fonda, like, who's Gronk? It's Gronk.
Gronkowski.
Ron Gronkowski. He's a tight end.
Jane Fonda writes like Gronkowski erotica, and she's like famous for it. So
that's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah. It's a charming movie. It has some good laughs.
I do not doubt that it's charming. I do not doubt that part. I just like when I hear 80 for Brady, I'm like, what are we talking about? 80 for Brady. What does that understand? What does that mean? I don't know.
I thought it was like a 30 for 30 thing or something.
Maybe.
It's very funny that this ended up being a talking point right now.
Mostly because I'm just like, why did you go see this movie about Tom Brady? Is really like
my partner. It was a Valentine's Day movie, so she really wanted to go on a date.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
You know,
I would not.
I honestly thought it was just like you going like, yeah, I'll see this Jane Fonda movie, sure. And I'm like, it just doesn't seem like your number one pick, but it makes sense.
Little did we know, hidden away in Brand's basement is an entire shrine dedicated to Tom Brady. He just doesn't want to show me.
I write Tom Brady erotica, and I'm very famous for it.
That's what you're actually doing on the side instead of writing news and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a Valentine's Day movie. Zara really wanted to go see it, and it's fun little date, inoffensive movie.
Sounds cute.
That's good.
Anyway, The Whale. People should go see The Whale. It's Brendan Fraser's great. Anyway, but most of what I want to talk about is Doctor Who, because I've listened to a bunch of his audio adventures this past week. So as I've mentioned before, I'm listening to the Eighth Doctor. Paul McGann plays the Eighth Doctor in these audio adventures, and they're like the only mainstream adventures he ever got to do because he only did the movie in the 90s. So he's very fun. So I went through the end of his run with his first companions, Charlie and Karez. Karez was from a parallel dimension, and he goes out in a way that's like really tragic, and like Charlie is like shooken to her core, and she's like, I don't know how to go on, and the doctor's like, it's fine, we can just go off to another adventure and we'll be okay. Like, and like, Charlie is like really taken aback by this attitude. Like, the doctor doesn't care, and because she doesn't quite realize that at this point the doctor is 900 years old. He's had many people leave him, many people die in his life. Like, he just has to move on, and Charlie just cannot come to terms with that. So she's like, I'm going to leave. So that was the last episode that she has to leave. That's a really cool episode, a bunch of timey-wimey stuff, and then she gets picked up by the sixth doctor. So I'm glad that she continued on. But then he picks up another girl named Liv, right? No, not Liv. Lucy. We're going to talk about Liv a little later. Lucy is under Time Lord witness protection, and they both don't know why. But she witnessed something in the year 2006 that the Time Lords were like, no. Pulled her out, dropped her in the TARDIS, and said, good luck. And I think that's a really cool way to like be like, this is your new companion now. The Time Lords just like, witness protection, protect this girl, don't get her killed, see ya.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. She's a fun companion. I like her a lot. It's really interesting listening to Doctor Who audio, especially Paul McGann, which started before the new show began with Christopher Eccleston, but it goes through it. So you can actually hear the format of the show change when the new show starts in 2005, because I guess the BBC came to Big Finish and said, you need to make these episodes like the TV show now, but also keep them like the old show. So find that mix. Good luck.
Yeah.
So that now that a bunch of Lucy's, bunch of them now are like an hour, maybe a little under. When before they were like an hour and a half, 2 hours, one time's 3.5 hours, and like they were like meaty episodes because they were trying to be the old serialized. Like, here's part 1, part 2, part 3. It's all one meaty episode. Now it's just like, no, 1 hour, you're done. Good stuff though. I'm happy to be back in the world of Doctor Who. It's really fun. Paul McGann is a great doctor. Yeah, that's all I got.
I'll get back into it in like 9 months
when David Tennant drops back.
Well, yeah, when that new season starts, because like that's it's so much time. It's so much time.
We took a break because we were also watching the show at the same time. We took a break to get through Star Trek Next Generation. Picard came back. I'm waiting to talk to Cookie about it, but I really liked it. I hope this season is really good.
Excellent.
All right. That's all I got. Shall we move on?
Bring out Babs.
The Babs.
All
right.
That's bread and butter for anyone who doesn't know what that means. Just that's just in case. A little bread and butter lady. Hey, it's me. I'm Babs.
If anyone who's new here, that's our bread and butter, which also means news. So there's a few layers to this segment that may be
lore. There's lore to this podcast.
Yeah, we got a mountain full of people that just get stranded.
Yeah, they've been there for like 6 years. Jesus,
just chilling up there with the Anti-Monitor.
Yep. I Am Legend 2 has officially gotten the green light. Kiva Goldsman has talked about it when he was also talking about Constantine 2, which he's writing. So Kiva Goldsman is writing the sequel to I Am Legend, which will star Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith. Will Smith is there because they are going to take the alternate ending of the original movie, and make that one canon and not the theatrical ending.
Which is so I've only seen like a short, tiny little clip of the alternate ending. That's when the guy, when the vampire cancer dude breaks through the glass, takes the girl, just gives Will Smith a look and walks away. Right?
You're half right. He doesn't break the glass. The breaking the glass is from the theatrical ending. He is invited in, and Will Smith and he kind of have an understanding of like Will Smith's like I'm going to help her. This will be fine. And so he's like, obviously there's like rage vampires, so he's just kind of like trepidatious about this, but they both come to an understanding of like, oh, I was the monster. Will Smith said basically that ending.
That is, and that is kind of like the whole point of like the book of like he's out hunting all these quote unquote monsters when they're just people trying to survive, and the movie definitely makes them more monstrous, and then the finale is like he goes out killing them and they're just monsters, and I'm like that's kind of defeating the whole point of it. So like making a sequel is really cool, and being like, yo, that ending sucks, can we just do the thing we were supposed to do, is actually incredible. I am Michael B. Jordan rules. I'm super excited about this. Like I love post-apocalypse stuff, like when done right, and like I like that movie a lot. I think it's pretty cool. This is cool.
I agree. Like I think the first movie is really good. I just don't like the ending. The Mag is in the comments and it makes a good comparison to Little Shop of Horrors. Like test audiences wanted that ending, and so they refilmed it. And honestly, I think it makes the movie worse.
Yeah. And
what's that? Test audiences get something wrong? Tell me it ain't so.
Listen, the
Zaslav.
No offense to the average Casey Casual, but like I don't think you should go to a bunch of random people and go, hey, what do you think this movie is good? Like, because like that's just like let the artist tell the story, and if you like it, you like it. You don't. That's kind of like what art is supposed to be. You're not supposed to test audience it into a crater of 4 quadrants.
Can you imagine if like painters had to like go through test audiences to release their paintings? It's like, can you imagine?
I was like, is this good? No, put the ear back.
If you want to pull up Mag's comment, Ben, real quickly. So Mag's talking about the Little Shop of Horrors ending, which was originally this kind of like giant monster kaiju ending where the plant got really big and started rampaging around the city. I think they were right on that one, honestly. I like the original. I like the theatrical ending more.
Yeah, I think it's a better ending, at least for Seymour and stuff. But like that is a really fun idea of like, damn, that's how it ends. It just turns into a giant monster and like takes over the world. Wild. I do think it's a better ending for the musical that they were making.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of The Last of Us, though, Michael B. Jordan, Akiva Goldsman said, I'm obsessed with The Last of Us, where we see the world just post-apocalypse, but also after a 20 to 30 year lapse. You see how the Earth reclaims the world, and he's talking about that because he's going to use The Last of Us as inspiration for the aesthetic of I Am Legend 2.
That totally makes sense. Yeah, the game and now the show is beautiful, and like it's all about like after the apocalypse, things get blown up, but then nature reclaims it. So there's ivy everywhere, there's trees growing where there shouldn't be, there's grass everywhere, animals. There's some of it in I Am Legend, but it's still too close to the apocalypse for nature to reclaim. So this is actually a really dope idea, and it's been it'll be almost 20 years by the time this comes out from that movie. So like that's we're getting old. So like that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Will Smith deserves the legacy sequel.
I remember going to I Am Legend, seeing it, and then sneaking into the first Iron Man movie.
Wow.
That's a good year. That's a good double feature, baby.
My God, 20 years it's been?
Not quite. But we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting close. Yeah, it's about
closer
15.
than you want it to be. Makes me sad.
Yeah, because it's about 15, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have to keep reminding myself that 20 years ago it was the Nintendo GameCube and not the NES or the Super Nintendo that was out.
That's how it works. Yeah, it's awful.
It sucks.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, it was 1985. Wasn't that long ago? It's like that's well over 30 years. That's like 30 plus years, Ben. What the fuck?
Hey man, I got a virtual reality machine. I'm okay being my age right now. I'll be honest. It's pretty sweet.
True, the future is pretty cool.
Yeah, sweet.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys love How to Train Your Dragon?
I do. I really do love How to Train Your Dragon. That is a fantastic movie franchise.
I think that is a fantastic franchise. I wish the ending could have been better, but I think that's a fantastic franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever watch How to Train Your Dragon? It was like, man, I wish this was live action.
Not even once. Not
Well.
even once.
Well, Universal Pictures has gone into production on a How to Train Your Dragon live-action adaptation directed by the director of the animated trilogy, Dean DeBlois.
Okay.
Okay.
It's really great that they got the original guy. Actually, no, I'm lying to myself when I say that, because it's just going to be the first movie exactly how it is, but in live action. You're just getting there's not going to be any originality to it. You're not going to bring a fresh perspective. You're just like, hey, they're going to do like The Lion King. It's going to be like The Lion King, but like there's a lot of humans, so they're not going to have the same problem. I love dragons. Like, I'm more for dragon movies in the world. I saw this news and I was like, man, this should make me happy, but I feel gross. I don't want it.
We're kind of coming at this at I wouldn't say the tail end, but like in the middle of like Disney doing this all the time. And I talked about it with Sparks with the Little Mermaid when we were looking at our schedule for the year, and I was just like, I think I'm done. Like, these are all not good. There's some diamonds in the rough. I mean, Aladdin. I did that on purpose. But like for the most part, they are disappointing, pale comparisons of.
Or they're just like fine. We'll get like a Cruella, but like, yeah,
Cruella's a really good example of like bringing a fresh perspective, something new.
Yeah.
And I like Cruella for that. But like, if you're just doing the same thing again, what's the point?
I mean, I would say I still enjoy Cinderella a whole lot.
I do too. Cinderella's
like
a good movie.
10 years ago at this point, though.
Exactly, yeah. Like, Cinderella's nice. Maleficent's just different enough. I mean, it's not an exact replica or retelling of Sleeping Beauty. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. I think of The Lion King though, and it makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like The Lion King is the factor here. Like and then Pinocchio came out last year, and nobody saw that. Except, so I'm sorry, one person saw that.
Ben will be the only one of us to ever see that movie.
It was a mistake.
That bums me out so much.
And I'm sure. And here's the thing: I'm sure Little Mermaid will be. I hope Little Mermaid is good. I never hope for a bad movie. But like, I'm not really rooting for it either. I don't really have any desire to see it right now.
I mean, I want to go see The Little Mermaid, but also I'm really hoping it is an absolute fantastic film, just to be like a middle finger to all the assholes who were talking smack about the main lead.
There's always that, but like I look at the ones that I like, which are Pete's Dragon, Cruella, Maleficent, Cinderella even is different enough. I mean, how much can you really work that story? But like those are, I think, really good movies that Disney has made that allowed filmmakers to put their own spin on their classic material. Yeah. But here's the thing. Now, going back to How to Train Your Dragon, Dean DeBlois is a good director. I like him as an animated director, and this is going to be his first live action thing, and that's really cool. We saw it with Andrew Stanton going from animation to live action. Like, it's really cool when he can make that jump. But if he's coming back to do it, that means he's just making his movie again, but in live action. And he even said, like, we're trying to walk the line between making the dragons photorealistic and cute. And I was like, you shouldn't have to do that because you already made the animated movies.
And like, this is kind of, honestly, this kind of just bums me out because if this were a different director, I honestly would probably feel really differently. But like the studio getting the guy, like I just know they want to make the exact same movie because that movie's incredible, and they don't need to change it, and that's a problem. Like, oh, we don't need to do anything with it, so just do it again, please. We'll get the original guy. Like, like we don't have to do much, really, free money. And I'm like, oh, but come on, guys, come on.
And like you'll constantly think about like Del Toro's. Every time Del Toro wins an award for Pinocchio, he's like, animation is a medium, animation should be respected. And then you bring it like that, but he came in, he tweeted this and was like, I'm so excited for you, Dean. Well done. I'm so happy you get to do this.
Listen, he can be very excited for his friend, but also want animation to reign supreme. Like, he can do both things. Like, he didn't
it's
he's riding the line there himself.
John Powell also, at the end of the news, that John Powell is going to come back to score the movie, which is cool. I like his score, but again, I have his score.
So. Yeah, it'll be the same score, but probably just more bombastic for live action. Not that it's not already great as is, but
I mean, the trend right now, and a trend I hope to use when I finally go to Super Nintendo World, is to do like the mashup between Out There with the Test Flight song that's been making the rounds on social media. And yeah, that song already is just so freaking like majestic and amazing. And
No.
it's like,
Now I have a question. Does Gerard Butler return as
Yes.
Stoic?
Yeah. He's probably
he
the only
better.
one to get.
He-
It may be
yeah.
Craig Ferguson, but they're
I
not
don't
going to
think
get
you
Jay
get-
Baruchel.
I don't think you get Craig Ferguson, and yeah, you definitely not get Jay Baruchel. But like, I think who did I say? Gerard Butler.
Mufasa. He's the Mufasa. You have to get the original guy.
Yes, exactly what I was going to say. He's James Earl Jones in The Lion King. You have to get him back.
I think
And
he
he's
can.
great for that role anyway. So like
Yeah.
he's just give him a big beard, he's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh well. Look, I hope this is good. I like the How to
Sure.
Train Your Dragon movies a lot. I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think it's coming a little late.
When did that first one come
Or
out?
early?
When did that first one come out?
2010?
10?
Maybe.
2010 sounds right.
Yeah.
We're not even like it is. I think it's too soon.
Yeah.
If we reviewed the last movie on this podcast, that means it's too soon.
We did. We reviewed Hidden World on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to do all three?
If this one does well, absolutely. 100%.
I don't want to see that.
We're getting another Lion King movie. It's a prequel, but we're getting another one because that movie made $1 billion.
But you know what? I'm actually interested in that one because it's something different. It's a different spin on The Lion King. It's doing something new. It's got a different director.
Yeah, but it's still gonna look like the Lion King, where they're not expressive.
Yeah, that's true. But
So like, if we lose,
if you wanted to do like How to Train Your Dragon, but you wanted to like maybe adhere closer to the books than the movie did, you know, that's something. I'm just kind of throwing some things out there because like if you also wanted to do like, you know, maybe the first one is like it, but the sequel is drastically different. We go in a different direction with the sequel. That's something. Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know.
I just getting the original guy doesn't give me faith.
Yeah.
Again, that's not a quality thing. I just think we're gonna get a similar product. And that's just lazy. It's lazy.
Yeah. Speaking of laziness, Lilo and Stitch, the live action adaptation, started casting.
This one has a 20-year barrier. I'm allowing it.
It has cast Zach Galifianakis as Pleakley.
That makes sense. I like
the
that.
skinny alien guy.
Yeah, the skinny alien guy.
Yeah. Okay, sure. I'm okay with this one because this one, like, I don't know if it's late 90s, early 2000s, but it's long enough. And I think this specific premise really works as a live action movie. It's E.T., but in like it's a Hawaii E.T. So like I'm Hawaii, right? I'm not. It's been a while since I've seen it. Yeah, okay. I'm like they're not. Yeah. So like I'm totally on board with this one. You know, a trailer could ruin it for me, but right now I'm like sure, like I'm ready for some more Lilo. Instant.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the thing is there's always potential for them to do something different enough that makes this a unique, worthwhile adaptation. That makes you think like, okay, this was worth adapting into live action. I think we all agree, just kind of reiterate for the audience that like the thing that we never want to see is the same thing again, because what's the point?
Absolutely.
You know, I think Lilo and Stitch has the potential to maybe have something different happen in the movie.
I hope so. And there's like so much like there's like a TV show and there's like games and there's so much stuff they could pull from. So like I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Man, I watched the shit out of that show when I was a kid.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Ben, your roommates are quite loud tonight. I'll just reiterate. Okay, some Doctor Who news, specifically audio news. I thought this was really cool. So Big Finish is coming back for the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. We don't exactly know what's going on with the TV show. All we know is that David Tennant's coming back. We don't know much more than that. But that's really exciting. But for Big Finish, they're going to release a series called Once and Future, starting in October, which will be about the Doctor during the Time War. Having been injured, he starts to degenerate, going through his past lives as the series goes on, which is kind of cool.
Interesting.
So obviously, Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, Paul McGann, Christopher Eccleston, and David Tennant will all reprise their roles. That's really cool.
Docs.
Really cool that Christopher Eccleston is doing this. Like, good. I'm happy for him.
Enough time has passed where it's like, nah, I'm over it.
Yeah. Stephen Noonan will play the First Doctor, which is a role that he inherited from David Bradley, who stepped away from the role last year, 2021. David Bradley will still do it in live action, but not in audio. Michael Troughton, who is the son of Patrick Troughton, who played the Second Doctor, will play the Second Doctor. He's been doing the role. Actually, this will be his first time taking over the role for his dad.
That's fun.
Tim Treloar will play the third Doctor. Obviously, these doctors have passed away, which is why they're recasting them. And he's been doing the third Doctor since 2015, so that's cool. As well as that, David Warner, who recently passed away and we talked about, who played General Chang in Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, he has been doing a role in Big Finish called the Unbound Doctor, which is a parallel version of the third Doctor, in a much more kind of like bleaker universe. He's been the Doctor, essentially. He'll return as well. This will be kind of like his last recordings as the Unbound Doctor.
Oh, that's nice that he gets to do that, or gets released.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I was really happy to hear that because I was like, he deserves that.
Yeah.
Michelle Gomez will return as Missy, Peter Capaldi's master. Nicola Walker will return as Liv Chenka, who is the 8th Doctor companion, so don't worry about not knowing who that is. Georgia Tennant will play Jenny, the Doctor's daughter, will reprise her role as Jenny from the TV series.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently they've been doing Big Finish stuff with her. I didn't even know.
It's a lot of Doctor Who stuff.
Man, the Big Finish stuff. That's like, if you're like, oh, I wish the show did that. I bet you Big Finish did it.
Oh yeah.
Michelle Ryan will play Lady Christina. This is funny. This is really funny. So if you guys, Ben didn't see it, but Ryan, do you remember David Tennant's last season?
I mean, you got to be a little more specific.
When he goes to this planet of like sand, and there's like a double-decker bus in the sand, and his companion in that episode has recently joined Big Finish as that character. So she'll come back for this audio adventure.
Buddy, they got everybody.
Yeah. Camilla Koduri, who played Jackie Tyler in the series, Rose's mom. She'll come back.
That's funny.
Isn't it just? Nev McIntosh, who plays Madame Vastra, which is the how much of Capaldi's season did you watch, Ryan?
I watched the first season. How many seasons did he do? 2, 3?
3, I believe.
I did like 1.5.
It's, remember the lizard lady who's like a detective in 1800s London?
That sounds very familiar. Did she wear a hat?
Yes.
Then yes, I do remember a lizard lady with a cute hat.
Yeah, she returns as well as her wife, who played Katrin Stewart, who plays her wife Jenny Flint. She will return, and Dan Starkey, who plays their Sontaran bodyguard, will also return.
Wow, you're just getting anybody and everybody.
No, seriously, I'm not even done. Sadie Miller, who is Elizabeth Sladen's daughter. Elizabeth Sladen passed away. She played Sarah Jane Smith in the series. She has been playing Sarah Jane Smith in Big Finish since 2020. Took over from her mom. She'll return. Makes sense. Similar vocal cords.
Yeah.
Christopher Naylor, who plays a character named Harry Sullivan, who is a companion to the 4th and 7th Doctor in the series. He'll return. Ken Bones, who plays the 11th General, who was a Time Lord General from Peter Capaldi's series. And the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, he'll come back. And Beth Chambers, who plays a character named Velkin, who is a Time Lord soldier in the audio stuff, she'll come back.
That's a lot of characters.
And that's not even all of them. They haven't announced all of them.
It's too many characters.
It's really cool that they're just like going all out. Like, because you could record them at different days. Like, all you just got to do is give them a script.
Yeah, it's really easy to just go like, hey, can you just like come in for 20 minutes, please? Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool. I really like the Big Finish audio Doctor Who, like when they cross over Doctors, because it's really cool to hear all these voices together. Because you can't get the older Doctors really comfortably in the series because of how much they've aged. So it's really cool to be able to have like Christopher Eccleston talking to the 3rd Doctor. Like you'd never get that in the show, but you get that in Big Finish.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool.
That's cool.
All right, comic books.
I'm here.
We Are Legends. Not to be confused with I Am Legends. We Are Legends will be a new series, a new kind of initiative, a new what's the word I'm looking for? Imprint.
What was it called? The one with Sideways and the fake Fantastic Four.
Oh.
The New Age of Superheroes. What was it?
I think it was the New Age of Superheroes.
Okay, because that's what this feels like.
A little bit.
Okay, not that it's a bad thing, but it just feels like, oh, you're trying to do a bunch of new characters again. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, but this was most specifically Asian American characters. That's the big pull here, and like everyone who works on them is Asian American, and everyone behind the scenes Asian American.
Oh yeah. Ram V's on one of these.
Ram V is on one of them. Yeah. So the first series is going to be called Spirit World, which is I'm just going to blanket. They're all 6-issue miniseries. I'm not going to repeat that.
Easy.
Spirit World, written by Alyssa Wong, who wrote Batman Urban Legends and Marvel's Deadpool, as well as others. Haining, who will be the artist on it, deceased artist. We'll introduce a new character named Xanthi. Ben, your screen is somehow louder.
Oh boy, yeah.
Can't you tell them to can you turn their volume down? That's you can't do that to people. Anyway, so it's going to introduce a new character named Xanthi, who is a non-binary Chinese hero who has the ability to travel in and out of the spirit world and possesses the ability to burn items folded from ceremonial joss paper and turn them into real objects that can be used in the physical world. That
is a incredibly cool power.
Yeah.
It's basically like turning origami into real life. That's super cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
A little bit about their superpower, because I thought this was kind of cool. Their superpower is based on the East Asian custom of burning joss paper at grave sites to send resources to ancestors in the spirit world.
That's lovely. That's very cool.
Yeah. Xanthi will form a reluctant alliance with DC's bad boy of the mystic arts, John Constantine.
Ooh, bad boy.
And apparently they're going to try and rescue Cassandra Cain. Oh, from a horde of Jiangxi. Chinese hopping vampires.
Oh, I'm familiar with them. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the ones that stick off the head, right?
Maybe. I know that it's like the hop and hop, because I played a video game where I have to fight those guys. They might also take their head off. That could be part of the lore I am.
They might be different. Those might be different vampires, because I know of a vampire that takes off their head, kind of slithers in the night, and then sucks the blood out of your feet.
Don't think vampires.
Yeah, that's why you can't keep your feet. Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm gonna Google it.
Ben's on the Googs. Now the Vigil will be written by Ram V, with art by Lalit Kumar Sharma, who wrote Truth and Justice and Daredevil. Art on Truth and Justice and Daredevil, among others. Now the Vigil is going to be a team of superheroes consisting of Arclight, Saya, Dodge, and Castle. So it's introducing a whole new team of characters. A group of individuals given powers they didn't want. These characters have already shown up in Lazarus Planet. A lot of this stuff is bouncing out of Lazarus Planet, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
I forgot that started. Man.
Yeah, that ended.
It's too many comics.
Determined to stop metahuman research and tech created for military application at any cost. That's their goal. That's what the book's about.
Oh, did they want to stop? They sound like bad guys.
Well, they are doing it for altruistic reasons. They don't want to be metahumans because they were experimented on, so they're trying to stop metahuman experiments.
Oh, got it. Okay, that makes more sense. Gotcha. Yeah. That sounds cool. And
then City Boy, who will be written by Greg Pak, with art by Min-Kyu Young, artist on Batgirl and Titans, and Sunny Go, art Wonder Woman, DC Festival of Heroes, and Justice League. This is going to introduce Cameron, who is just a kid trying to make a living using his powers of speaking to cities to find lost and hidden goods to pawn, just trying to get by, but having these powers also means that he hears everything about these cities everywhere and all at once, including their histories and the truths behind them.
So that is a very cool power that you don't see very often. That is one of the powers that one of the guys in the Authority has. I believe it's Jack Hawksmoor, where he literally he's tied to the city that he's in, and he gains power through the city, and he can the different city he's in makes him different. So that's a cool thing to be tied to the place that you're in. That is a unique power to have. It's cool to see. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently he's already friends with Gotham City. So he's trying to convince Metropolis to be like, "Hey, Metropolis, I'm friends with Gotham City." I guess he talked to Gotham City's sewage avatar, which is a rat made out of sewage.
Sure, make Gotham. I believe anything.
Yeah. These all sound like cool characters. 6-issue miniseries is, you wish that a lot of these would become ongoing. Some of them could be.
Yeah, I'm sure it's testing the water, see if people like all these characters and stuff. They all sound cool, and those are all good writers. So like, I mean, I'm all for I am all for more unique characters and stuff. So like, let's hope these are good.
Yeah, me too. Ben, did you find out about hopping vampires?
Yes, so they don't drink blood; they just suck your life force instead.
That's worse.
They're life force vampires.
Yeah.
You hate it. Hate to see it.
All right. Peacemaker is getting a new miniseries spinning out of his run on Suicide Squad. He's been released from the Suicide Squad, everybody.
Oh no.
Written by Kyle Starks, with art by Steve Pugh and Jordy Belair.
Mm-hmm.
Also a 6-issue miniseries. This will be a Black Label series.
Makes sense.
I haven't heard about the Black Label in a while.
They're still doing stuff. I think.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like there's a Swamp Thing green label Black Label book that's like super delayed that keeps coming out every. I think it's a Jeff Lemire one. It's like, yeah, this comes out every few months.
Yeah, I really want to read that. I've been waiting for the trade because I'd like to collect the Black Labels as trades.
I think it's like only like on 2nd or 3rd issue, and it's been like a year, and I'm like, hey, whatever, it happens.
Yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah.
The synopsis of this one is basically, having earned his release from the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker wants to try and do normal superhero stuff for a change. Unfortunately, everyone, including the bad guys, thinks he sucks at superhero stuff. Mm-hmm. But when busting up a terrorist ring introduces Christopher Smith to the cutest thing to ever walk awkwardly on 4 legs, he finds an unconditional love he's been denied his whole life. That is, until the dog is kidnapped right out from under him by a supervillain who has some very unsuperheroic plans for Peacemaker's brand of ultraviolence. Will he help an infamously unstable, superpowered criminal steal the world's most valuable and dangerous DNA? Honestly, Christopher's pretty lonely, so it probably just depends on how nicely you ask.
That sounds great. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, I think that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm totally. I love him. Like, no, I'm gonna be a superhero, and everyone's like, "Boo, you suck!" Like, I will read that comic book. That sounds great.
Yeah, and I like the idea of giving him like an animal companion, kind of doing like the John Wick thing, but he's not good enough to be John Wick.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And also, I just love Mac's comment on Emma in the background. He swears that Emma is on MODOK's throne.
Sleep, kitty.
It looks like it. It's really cool.
It does.
The Penguin TV series has started casting. Rennie Felix from Runaways. He's the leader of the group.
Oh my gosh! Is this a lady or a man?
A man. So African American man.
Oh, Jesus! Yeah, okay, yeah. He's the bad guy in the comics. Yeah,
with the hair.
Yeah.
He's joined the cast.
Cool.
Michael Kelly from Jack Ryan and Man of Steel. He plays Lombard in Man of Steel. If you see a picture of him, you're like, I know this guy.
Yeah, he's a really big guy in Netflix's House of Cards. He's a really great actor.
He's in the show. Shohreh Aghdashloo from The Expanse, Arcane. Kind of Indian woman with a really raspy voice.
Oh, the greatest voice of all time.
Yeah.
She
has been cast. She was the president of Star Trek Beyond. I thought that was funny.
She does so much video game work. Like, she's instantly recognizable.
Yeah, I love her voice. She's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Deidre O'Connell from Daredevil and Outer Range has also been cast. I didn't recognize this one.
Look at all these people.
Hey man, that show's coming soon.
I'll believe it when I see it.
We're getting a Penguin series starring Colin Farrell.
Nice.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, it's February. Like, yo, that thing is real. Like, that's a flooded Gotham. That's like a prequel to the next Batman. Like, man, that's real. Thumbs up.
Colin Farrell and that prosthetic makeup for a whole series is going to be wild.
Sparks was rewatching the Batman for reasons, and oh my God, I was like, I can't watch it because it's too late. But I watched some of it. And it's just like the Colin Farrell doing like, oh, you don't know the difference between L and La, Spanish. You speak Spanish, Espanol. Like, it's just like, I can't believe we're getting an entire show about that guy. It's thrilling. I've never been more excited for Penguin in my entire life.
Speaking of Sparks, we should let them know we're approaching trailer talk pretty quickly.
Hooty-hoo!
Was that your call?
I thought that's the call one. Yeah.
That's the call every time I see my mom. Like,
Deadpool has cast Emma Corrin from The Crown. She played Princess Diana in The Crown. So she'll be the villain in Deadpool 3.
Man, let me tell you, when she was cast, the X-Men world was like, holy shit, what mutant is she playing? Oh my god, there's so many great mutants that would fit for either X-Factor or X-Force that would fit with Deadpool, and like she's a villain. Everyone's like, wow, now I have no idea who she is. No idea. Because there were so many great, like a lot of people thought she was going to be Siren, Teresa Cassidy, who is a Banshee's daughter. She's the one who had the baby, but with multiple man, and then it got duped and it got swallowed back inside of him. God, what Peter David, you suck. Deadpool 3 is happening with Wolverine, and it's no doubt gonna be like the end of the Fox. You know they're gonna do that, like the end of the Fox franchise shit. So like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Can't believe Deadpool 3 is coming. Those are all good movies. Happy.
I think I know who she's playing.
Who?
Mr. Sinister.
Mr. Sinister.
Mrs.
There is a Mr. Sinister, but that's like way later.
I'm just saying they've been teasing Sinister for many movies.
They have. At this point, I don't think they would waste Mr. Sinister right before the X-Men come, because I do think he will be their first big bad. He only makes the most sense.
Yeah. Some MCU talk. Just bounce off of that. Because there was a new MCU movie, guys. I don't know if you heard. The red carpet was a great time to talk to Mr. Kevin Feige himself, who released a couple of interesting nuggets of information, such as Thaddeus Ross will be the president of the United States in Captain America 4.
Ooh.
That rumor is true.
I think that's kind of cool, and I'm very excited to see Harrison Ford with a big bushy mustache.
I can't wait for him to yell, "Get off my plane," as the president for a second time.
Oh. Yeah, actually, I can't. I know.
Air Force One. You know they're gonna make an Air Force One joke. You know it.
Oh yeah, they should. Cool. Ben, have you seen Air Force One?
I have not.
Oh, you should.
It's great. Yeah. Gary Oldman is a bad guy terrorist. Harrison Ford kicks ass as the president. Couldn't ask for a better time.
Get off. I just know the line "Get off my plane." That's the only line from that movie I know.
It's infamous. It's so good.
He also had this to say about the output of Marvel, about specifically Phase 4 and going into Phase 5. The pace at which we're putting out the Disney Plus shows will change so they can each get a chance to shine. We want to do shows that can only be shows.
Look at you, Kevin. Are you learning from your mistakes? Maybe a little too late. That's okay. We're here for it. We love change.
There's a rumor going around that we're only going to get 2 shows this year. I don't know how much of that I believe, but interesting.
Do you have the news about the delay? Is that part of this news too?
Yeah, Marvels has been pushed to November 10th.
Yeah. Okay. So we have Guardians, and then is it Miss Marvel, and then is it the Marvels? Are those the only 2?
Yeah, I think so.
That we know of for sure, because Captain America's not this year. Honestly, good.
Yeah.
Honestly, and the thing that I don't think will happen, because this is generally what happens, like when movies get pushed. I hope they work on it. Like maybe give the people who work on the special effects more time, because a lot of these movies, no matter how good they are, they have some real shitty effects because you don't give these people enough time to work on them. So if you're giving this movie an extra 6 months, can you do something with it instead of just put it on a shelf? Because not spoilers for a movie we're going to talk about soon, but even no matter how much I like or dislike it, yo, man, there's some real bad green screen in that movie. And I'm just it doesn't have to be. I've seen Avatar. I know time can make everything look beautiful. So just give your products time to shine, because I think these products could be better with a little more spit shine on them. All of them, if I'm being honest.
I 100% agree with that. I think the CG workers need to be properly compensated and have plenty of time to do these things. And the thing is, when you talk we were talking about it when they first announced Phase 5 and 6. We're they are putting out twice as many projects in half the time that the Infinity Saga took. So that's a lot of work, especially for VFX artists who have to look at that and go, oh shit. We already saw that they pushed Avengers Secret Wars. Good. We see that they want to give more time to the TV shows. Good. They pushed the Marvels. Good. But don't push them because you think we want to wait for them. push them because there's still more work that needs to be done to them to make them shine, to make them the projects that we know they can be. You spend billions of dollars on these things. Show it.
I still cannot believe that there's just a Aquaman movie that's been done and has been done, and we won't see for still another 10 months. I cannot fathom that, how there's just a like $1 billion movie waiting to be released. It's like, yeah, we'll get that in a year. Don't worry about it. I'm like, man, this is like, it's wild. That movie, I'm sure, looks great. I'm not worried about Aquaman.
I'm really glad that we're getting 4 DC movies this year, only because they're all done. So like they can just release them. But like these shows specifically suffered, I think, a lot from the schedule that they had to keep. You know, we were looking at 6 shows a year, almost. Like there are 17 projects looking in that we talked about with Mike this past week. So like maybe like give them the time to spread out these shows so that you have the time to refine these things. We saw some good shows. We saw some mediocre shows. I want to see Marvel put out great shows.
I agree.
Okay, I think the dishes are done right now. So someone was doing dishes downstairs and it was a little loud. That's why I was quiet. But to throw my 2 cents into this for a very hot second, I agree with Feige more on like just make sure they're good. Just make sure the shows are shows. You don't have to keep pumping stuff out one after the other constantly. I mean, as people really are to mixed results, because there were some really good shows and there are also a few stinkers here and there. So, is that a Sparks Witty I spy?
Yeah, but don't mention him. We'll talk about it. We'll get him on one of the trailers. He was adamant about this.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're setting up. You continue to talk.
But yeah, I'm actually okay with. It's odd to say, but I'm actually okay with less Marvel TV shows instead of a whole lot of Marvel TV shows, because as like you said, give them time to breathe, let them time to shine. Also, give us time to breathe, because looking at the schedule sometimes going, oh my god, how much shows do we have to watch?
Yeah, I agree. It also makes our job a lot easier doing these after shows.
It does.
All right.
For audio listeners, we have 2 new people in the chat. We got a Sparks Witty.
Hey.
And we got friend of the show, Marty.
Marty, you have to say something. It's audio.
Podcast,
oh, yeah. But, well, I mean, it's also video, though, right?
Right,
so
but he was saying for the audio listeners who didn't see us.
Yeah. We only have some.
That makes sense.
Only
Okay.
in the earbuds, and you have such a beautiful voice.
Can I do it one more time?
Please.
Hey, guys.
Look at that.
Perfect.
Professional in the house.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
This is the kind of joy. This is the kind of content you can only get on the live stream, guys. So if you're not watching the live streams, you're missing out.
You're missing out.
All right. Hellboy. Let's talk about some Hellboy real quick, because they're taking another run at it.
Couldn't be happier, to be honest.
They're going to make Hellboy the Crooked Man from director Brian Taylor, which will be written by Mike Mignola and Christopher Golden. Real quickly, the plot will follow Hellboy and a rookie BPRD agent stranded in 1950s rural Appalachia as they discover a small community haunted by witches, led by a local devil with a troubling connection to Hellboy's past, the Crooked Man.
Question.
Yes, sir.
This is a Conjuring universe tie-in. Yeah, they are tying together. Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say David Harbour still playing Hellboy.
No,
this is a reboot.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, that movie bombed and most people didn't like it. So sorry, David Harbour.
Start over.
Someone mentioned that they should try again with Hellboy, but a TV series kind of seems like the way to go for me. But honestly, yeah, you want to take another crack at it, go for it. I like this director for Hellboy.
I am thrilled with this news. One, Mike Mignola is co-writing it. So I'm just beyond thrilled. So if it sucks, then it's literally on the guy who made its fault. So like, there's one there. But this director not only directed the best Ghost Rider movie of only 2, Spirits of Vengeance, where he pisses fire. He also directed Cranks 1 and 2, which are some of the greatest, stupidest Jason Statham movies ever made. I love those movies to death. This guy has such a chaotic energy to his filmmaking. And it's perfect. And like having it be 1950s Hellboy, it's going to be young Hellboy. So like you can get someone young, even though he's going to be like 19, but he still looks like he's a 40-year-old man, because that's what Hellboy is. But what I love about Hellboy, that dude's been dead for like 8 years in the comics, but they're every miniseries. It's Hellboy in the BPRD 1950, Hellboy in the BPRD 1955. I have so many miniseries that are just about young Hellboy. Because again, like they decided to kill him, and I think that's awesome. And they're just a BPRD doing their own thing. He might have come back by now. It's been a long time. But I think this is great, having a lower budget. Just hey, it's a small town. Let's just go film somewhere in Eastern Europe. Let's just make it chaotic, Ghost Rider energy with Hellboy. 100% and 100% love it. I love being half a face. I'm like Two-Face.
Marty's got some room. You can move him in.
No, I like it.
Do you want me?
No.
Okay.
No, it's good. It's art.
Trailers.
Trailer time? Did you guys watch
Tea-talk.
trailers? Nope.
No.
Hell yeah.
Why'd you want to be on the trailers then?
We didn't. I was going to come on for the review. I thought you guys were much deeper into the trailers at this point than you were.
I misread your text the second time, I guess.
Whoops.
That's okay. We'll tell you what's cool and what's not cool.
That sounds
Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre.
I think this is a terrible name for a movie.
great. Didn't this come out last year?
Nope.
Oh.
I also thought it did. I thought it went straight to DVD, to be honest.
So here's what happened. The movie was started to market, and then the war in Ukraine happened. Russia attacked Ukraine. The villains of the movie are Ukrainian.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So they pulled the movie, be like, insensitive.
At least
I mean, that's fair.
they're not doing a Red Dawn where there's literally like CGIing. Like, oh yeah, it's not Korean people, it's Chinese people or whatever it is. Like, that was awful. Yeah. I think this one real quick. I could have swore this was almost the exact same trailer from last year because I feel like I saw a lot of the same stuff. I think it looks totally fun. I'm here for Aubrey Plaza more than anything, just because I think she's fun. But like I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, to be honest.
I really enjoy The Gentleman, and this kind of feels more like The Gentleman and less like Wrath of Man, which I didn't really care for. The two sides of this director that I forgot the name of completely.
Guy Ritchie,
thank you. The two sides of Guy Ritchie. We can make a hardcore crime drama, and then we'll make a goofy action comedy drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this looks more like that, and I want to see it, but I wasn't crazy about this trailer.
Yeah.
Extrapolations.
This, besides having every famous person on the planet, it really gave me hardcore. We're liberals and we need to make a movie about how bad it is. Kind of like no, Don't Look Up, but like super serious. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I'm all for talking about climate change stuff, but like this movie is so in your face and it is so like, we're the bad guys and we need to do something about it. And I'm just like, it's cool that it's an anthology, but it's just like, it's not a fun apocalypse. It's a real apocalypse that we are actually going towards. It's just too real. And I don't want to watch that, if I'm being honest. Technically, it's incredible. I think it's a really well shot show. It's just like, I don't often feel like this with art, but like, this is too real to like, this could be us in 20 years. And I don't want to watch that, to be honest.
We talked about this like right out of the pandemic when there was a movie that was about to be like very pandemic heavy.
Yeah.
And I think this is similar, but in the sense, I think the value of these shows is not for us.
Sure.
It's for the TV going audience that's not entirely convinced by climate change, and they're trying to like beat them over the head with like, this is what it's gonna be like, and like we already kind of get it, so we're just depressed to know it. But like, it's for the people who don't.
It's Apple, right?
Yeah,
it's Apple. Every episode will be set in a different decade, which is why the cast is rotating so much. It's like 2030, 2040, 2050, and then eventually I think the last episode is set in like 2100.
Yeah, I think like technically the show it looks really impressive. Like I have no qualms with the way it looks. It's just like I personally don't want to watch it. Yeah. I think it looks great though.
I also misread reading a text message because I thought we didn't have to watch this trailer, so I did not watch it.
Question mark?
Oh yeah, and I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to talk about it.
I didn't see it.
But we did it. So Jump Light Odyssey. I put this one on here.
This one should talk about it.
I thought this looked really interesting, honestly. I like the concept of it. I love there's two trailers. There's a gameplay trailer and a story trailer. And the story trailer is just all animated artwork. it looks very like classic Voltron, kind of that classic 80s cartoon aesthetic. Certainly in the designs, and I really like that. I thought that was really cool. What it is a space sim. So this you're on this like ship that has escaped Earth or a different planet, and you're trying to find a new home. But on the way, you're making the ship into a habitable place to live. I think this looks cute and charming.
Yeah, it does. It definitely looks cute and charming. I definitely played these type of games a lot when I was younger. Not that it's an age thing. It's just like that's the type of game I preferred when I was younger, like space sims. Like there's like Star Tropics and Startopia. Like those are like original like PC and like old school like a Nintendo game where you like build a little like civilization and stuff. So it's definitely got a lot of charm to it. I do like the art style a lot. I definitely saw a lot of people vibing with like the 80s anime aesthetic of it. And it does look like a cute indie game. Mm-hmm. Sorry about the dog.
I saw the gameplay trailer, or I want to say it's the gameplay trailer of it, because we were seeing different how the ship works. Is like you need resources to build the ship, make it habitable. But one of the things that like really struck me, because the whole time it was like it seemed very chill, seemed very laid back, and then it said, as captain, you have to make hard decisions, and a bunch of people were jettisoned out of an airlock, and I'm like, oh. That went dark really quick, and it's still like this happy-go-lucky feeling. And there's this one part, there's this animation of these two crew members laughing, and there's people floating in space, dead, behind them, and they're just not even. I was like, so.
Yeah. So the story trailer, Ben, is this kind of like Voltron-esque 80s anime, Japanese anime style, and it tells the story of how this invading force came to this planet, and then these people went up in their ships to fight back, and they lost, and the planet was destroyed, and this was the only ship left, and it just kind of warped out of there.
The last one of these types of games that I played was a game called Evil Genius, where you are a supervillain like Dr. Evil, and you have like a volcano layer that you're building out, and you have to build workers, and like you build like places for them to live and bases for them to train, and like places to do missions, and superheroes come to destroy it and stuff. That was a good time. So yeah, this definitely looks in vein of those type of games. Looks like a good time. It is PC only, Brandon, so I don't think you can play.
No, I can't. I do not have a gaming PC, unfortunately.
Yeah. He can't yet, but the Steam Deck in his hands is just around the corner, baby.
Oh, come on. If you do that, I'm going to seriously question your life choices. Tetris.
Dude.
Like,
forget that it's about Tetris. This is like just a great trailer, but it's about Tetris, so it's a better trailer.
No, so what I didn't even know they were making a Tetris movie, and you guys know one of my favorite videos on YouTube is Norman Caruso's The Gaming Historians, his hour-long documentary on how Tetris came from the USSR to the rest of the world. Once again, if you haven't watched it, it's an hour long. It's an amazing documentary. It truly is a crazy batshit story on how the world got Tetris, the gaming phenomenon that is probably one of the best video games ever made. The fact that they're making a movie about the story of how we got Tetris, I feel is phenomenal. It is absolutely great. And man, I cannot tell you how excited I am.
I think friend of the show Marty thought that the movie was just a Tetris movie, and it's about the blocks, like it's
an adaptation,
like a Lego movie,
like the College Humor video brought to life or something.
So he had to get to the part where it's about the making of how Tetris became popular.
So yeah. I knew this movie was coming, and I assumed that Ryan and Sparks did also. We had like heard about they're making a Tetris movie, and immediately I'm thinking like, okay, how? Now I see it. I'm like, oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
The story of how the world got, because if you watch the Gaming Historians video, it is a crazy ass web of rights, of people thinking they have rights to certain consoles. I can easily see like college, like business professors, law professors be like showing this documentary in their classroom and be like, see, this is why contract wording is very important. Or see, this is why you have to be very clear on who owns what and what you need to say. Because it is an absolute bonkers story. Yeah, I could probably do an entire Basement Arcade episode on just that one video alone, but we're talking about this movie trailer. This movie trailer is definitely, because you guys know I got Fanny and Apple Watch, and we're using that free trial of Apple TV Plus so I could watch this movie, because I need to see this movie now.
This looks like an incredible movie. Like, I think this is a really, really well-made trailer. I love Taron Egerton. Boy, he walked into a room, and I'm like, bro, you are so short. Hello, Wolverine. Hey, Wolverine. You should be Wolverine. Come on, Marvel, call him. He's so good all the time. What's up, Brandon?
Grayson's comment I was going to bring up.
Yeah. Grayson said Tetris looks so good, and the fact it revolves around Tetris is even better. Big fan, makes me want to get Apple TV. Me too.
So I highly recommend Apple TV Plus. It is a great streaming service, has tons of awesome originals such as Prehistoric Planet, Ted Lasso, and the upcoming Godzilla Monsterverse.
And After Party. Always
And After Party. And After Party. Honestly, Apple TV Plus kills it in the originals game.
Yeah. Like the only thing
Ted Lasso has my heart
Ted Lasso.
so much. Like everything that he sa's, it's just so charming. And it's.
Did you see the release date? Did you see the release date for the next season dropped?
Yeah, I saw that. It's cute.
I mean, so if I were to say anything somewhat not negative, critiquing the Tetris trailer, I would say that if you put a picture of Hank Rogers next to Taron Egerton, they do not look the same at all. They are
That's
par for the course for these types of movies.
Hey,
did you guys all went to see Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania? Did you guys see the new Oppenheimer trailer?
No.
Really?
No.
There was a brand new Oppenheimer trailer.
Are you sure? Then why are we talking about it?
I don't believe
it wasn't online.
It's not the same trailer that we've seen?
No.
Okay.
Brandon imagined it.
No, I did it. I was like, I remember watching it. It started and like Cillian Murphy's like climbing up the ladder to check on the bomb, and I'm like,
look,
this is new.
If 4 out of 5 nerds are sitting around, they all saw the movie that was supposed to have the trailer in front of it, and they say it didn't happen. Did it happen?
Your theater could have just gotten it wrong and put on the wrong one, and that's all.
They got a secret trailer.
Yeah,
maybe. But like I was looking online for this, I was like, nobody's talking about this. Did I imagine this?
The fun thing about the Tetris movie is obviously some of the stuff is probably going to be dramatized a little bit for a fun movie.
Hardcore.
But the thing is, this is still a crazy story about like the Soviets being like, no, we won't. This is ours. Like Americans want to come take our shit. Hell no, baby. We're gonna get in the way of it. And it's like in the middle of a Cold War. Shit's wild.
It's actually more of a battle between the Maxwell Core and Nintendo, because it's Maxwell was like this big electronics distributor in England, because it's a whole thing. It is a whole thing, but yeah. The fact that people wanted to play Tetris and the Soviets were very like, we don't export shit out of the Soviet Union, and this game broke through the Iron Curtain, and like earlier what I was saying is like, hey, contracts, because the Soviets weren't getting paid, and they got really pissed at the guy who originally went to him to try and broker a deal, which was Roger Stone.
I also just really love,
not the Roger Stone you're thinking of, a different one.
I just really love when a trailer like uses music really well, but like if the final countdown is clearly in the movie because he's like singing karaoke of it in the trailer, but like in the trailer it's so like the way it hits, I'm like, damn, this is a good trailer, man. This made me really excited to watch this movie.
On that note, I really like when a trailer, this does look like a good one, I really like when a trailer uses a song that is clearly in the movie, and then when you go see the movie you get the trailer like song put in its own way, so like you get double the whammy, but it really gives you like, yes, this is directly the vibe of this movie.
The final countdown.
March 31st. I mean, the other movie that we weren't going to talk about, I just want to mention very briefly, the pinball one that doesn't have a release date. I'm looking forward to that one because I love pinball. But this one, the fact that it has a release date, it's March 31st, so we can watch it. I'm like, it's so close. It's almost here.
It's almost here.
Gotta get that
Pluto.
Apple TV. Gotta get the Apple TV Plus.
Pluto.
I love Mickey's dog.
I'm so glad you put this on here.
What is this?
Go, Ben, you go.
Question: did anyone else, when they were watching the trailer, because I was watching this and it was from Netflix's official account, there was no dialogue, right? It was just
it's a vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe trailer.
It's a vibe trailer.
Okay.
It's a 4-minute vibe trailer. Yeah.
Okay, good, because I thought something was wrong with the audio, and I was trying to like, what the hell's going on here? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So Brandon,
other than that,
sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say, other than that, it's a vibe. I have a soft spot for Astro Boy. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's what it is. So if you're not familiar, that it's a reimagining of Astro Boy if he grew up to be a detective man, and he looks like Inspector Gadget times a million. This is
so that
insane.
dude. That dude was Astro Boy.
He's Yes,
It's a reimagining of Astro Boy.
It's not Astro Boy canon. It is a reimagining, like separate series, but it's him as an adult as a detective.
That's cool.
But it is
cool.
like made with the IP of Astro Boy. It's not like it's supposed to be Astro Boy like they are reinterpreting Astro Boy IP into this.
Right, because when we see the little boy at the end of the trailer, I was like, is that Astro Boy?
Yeah, I had the same question too, girl. I thought, okay, is this set in the same world as Astro Boy?
Because I kept watching this trailer and I was like, where's Astro Boy?
Think of it as an entirely new interpretation of the Astro Boy lore.
Yeah,
but
cool.
These are incredible anime creators behind this. It looks awesome.
This is one of those projects that's been in the works for like 5 years too. Like the animation is crisp. It looks so good.
It does look good.
And it's Netflix. I'm like, all right, Netflix, you can't do shit like this. All right, baby. Okay.
Marty's looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I love he's got like, his gun hands and his feet, and he's got a trench coat on. Love it.
Yeah, and just like when the tube was kind of like sliding, or when he was fighting like the ant machine.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, gorgeous stuff.
Netflix, if this does really, really well for you guys, can you please remake Cyborg 009, please, and thank you.
Ronin Warriors, call me. All right, nobody knows that show. All right. Yeah, it looks really cool. Cool. That's what I wanted to say. I think this looks really cool. I want to see this. Creed 3, speaking of anime.
God damn, speaking of great trailers, this was a week of great trailers, man.
This trailer.
Yeah, that Oppenheimer trailer.
Mag and Grayson, we do see you guys in the chat about that trailer. Maybe did you just go see it in IMAX, Brandon?
No.
Oh shit.
You got
Mag, baby. Mag knows Ronin Warriors. Hell yeah.
Quantumania. There you go. Look at that.
There we go.
There you go.
Love it.
There you go.
I've only seen Creed 1. I am absolutely going to see Creed 2 now because I need to rectify. Because not only does this look incredible, it's Michael B. Jordan directing. It's the probably the high, like the biggest star rise of right now with Jonathan Majors.
Yep.
Looking more jacked than I've seen a human being be in any movie. Man, he was doing Creed stuff and Ant-Man stuff at the same time. He's like, yeah, I'm working out for this, and then the next hour I'm working out for this, and I'm like, slow down. Eat a cupcake.
Save some protein for the rest of us.
Yeah, come on. There's not enough chickens.
Did you ever see the video where it was like, first what I do when I make a milkshake is I add some protein, and then I add a banana, and then I add some protein.
Yeah. Oh, man, you got to work all that off. This trailer, it's incredible. Michael B. Jordan's got a gift. He said it in many interviews, but like there is definitely an anime influence happening in this, definitely in the fight scenes. You got some slow motion shots, and I'm like, I've seen that before.
He said specifically, like, I don't want to give too much. He's like, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a punch in Dragon Ball that we use. And it's, it's the punch, it's the gut punch that you see a lot in Dragon Ball. It's like, and you see that in this trailer. Like you see Jonathan Majors
slow motion and everything, absolutely. And like the parallels of the entire movie, it's going to be about like this guy who had it all and this guy who didn't get that chance. And there's so many mirror shots of them doing like similar things at different times. And I'm like, man, this movie is just going to rock my world. It's going to be so good. I'm so excited to see it, to revisit the Creed franchise. Cause again, there's a whole great movie I haven't seen yet. So like, hell yeah.
It's really rare when you get to, sorry, Ben, go ahead.
I was going to say, which one of you has these movies on Blu-ray?
I have them on DVD.
Can I borrow them?
Sure.
I kind of want to watching this trailer.
Look at all these streaming services on my. They gotta be on one of them.
Watching this trailer makes me really want to watch these movies now. Because like the second the opening shot of the trailer where it's obviously the final fight at Dodger Stadium, it seemed like, okay, F me, I need to see these movies now.
You got to see it now because of Dodger Stadium.
No, not because of Dodger Stadium. But as you were saying, like the fight, like the
worst
like
hot dogs ever.
Ben, real quickly, the Creed movies are available on TNT's streaming service.
I don't have TNT.
Wow, my 47th favorite streaming service.
Well, F that.
I really like the Creed movies. I really like boxing. Boxing movies are my favorite sports movies. I think they're always really excellent. I really like the Creed movies. The first one is fantastic. The second one is great. Like, it's incredible. It's weird. It's so rare to get like 3 movies in a franchise directed by 3 different people and all 3 of them be really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Creed movies are, and I'm really excited for this third one. I adore the Rocky franchise, and so the Creed Rocky franchise. I'm happy with this one.
Adrian. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one a lot. John Wick Chapter 4.
Talk about good trailers. God. John Wick Chapter 3, worst of the franchise, still a pretty good action movie. If that were the first in the franchise, people would still be, damn, that's one of the best action movies ever made. This movie looks infinitely better than the last one. I think everything that they got going on in this movie, also, it's like 3 hours long. And I can't believe that. It makes me so happy. There's gonna be so much action. There's so many new stars. There's so much action. There's so many more stunts. There's a great behind the scenes featurette about the making of this movie. It's like 3 minutes long, but it just goes into more stunt making and how John Wick or Keanu Reeves is just like, yeah, we just want to keep this like really messing me up, and I'm all about it. And I'm like, I am too, Keanu. Please fall more. He's getting a new dog. Ooh, his love is in the air. I'm all about it. Bill Skarsgård is the villain. 10 out of 10.
The Arc de Triomphe, right? That's the area they were in France with the roundabout.
Big circle, and he's doing like gun kata in his car and stuff.
And he's like people are hitting the car, people are hitting the cars, and he's shooting.
Okay, yeah, people are getting hit by cars. They are flipping in the air, and he's shooting them as they land. It's just like, that's why I go to the movies. It's like, he already got hit, John. Give him a break. It's nonsense.
Obviously we all really like the John Wick films. Ben, you've seen them all, yes?
Not 3.
That's right. You missed that review.
It's still good. It's still a good movie.
I've seen 2. I've seen 1 and 2. I haven't seen 3. 2.
2's GOAT. It's the GOAT.
Well, stay tuned, because there's a 5th secret franchise that we're not going through that we're going through this year that you don't know about, and we can reveal it now exclusively. It's John Wick. It'd be such a waste.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Sparks just no.
Right. There's far more important things to be doing with Ben's time right now.
It's true.
Mag says, more curious of Clancy Brown in the new movie. Yeah, he seems like kind of like this arbiter character for the High Table. All the new cast members. Scott Adkins.
Dude, that dude is awesome. He is a big like martial arts dude. So like, I'm really, and he's also like in a fat suit. It looks like, and like that dude's gonna he's gonna beat Keanu Reeves up. That dude's huge.
Yeah. Grayson says, I don't know how they're doing it, but these John Wick movies have been so much fun to watch, and this trailer looks so great. Yes, exactly.
Again, even the worst John Wick movie is still better than a lot of other action movies. Like, it's just they're always at 11.
That's true.
Oh. All right. Shall we do it? Shall we review the voodoo? I don't know.
Shall we review the voodoo? I actually like that. Man. But okay, Brandon, I'm sorry, but the second you said the voodoo, my mind went to this old Dreamcast beat 'em up game where one of the characters was a ghost named Voodoo.
Power Stone?
No, it wasn't Power Stone. It was something. I never won Power Stone. It was a different one. Sorry. Tiny video game rant. So yeah.
We are now going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. So full spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp, the third Ant-Man film, the however many MCU film, I lost count. The divisive Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, if you listen to the online chat. But we're not here to talk about the online reaction to the film. We're talking about our reaction to the film. So what do we think about Ant-Man? Once again, spoilers. Ben.
I liked it.
Okay, Ryan.
And we'll get into it later.
What do you think, Marty?
I mean, it was a lot of fun. And
that's not the script. He was gonna say a thing.
No. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and there's a lot I don't like about it.
Right?
Yeah, I like that. I wish I can love it, but I'm certainly not as negative as a lot of other people. I always try to come at the things glass half full, and there's a lot to love about this movie, but as we all are a big Ant-Man fan, it just doesn't have as much heart as it needed, and that's my biggest problem with it, to be honest.
Sparks.
I had a really good time, and I usually don't agree with the statements where people say like, this thing's just here to set up X.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I feel like a decent chunk of this movie's plot is just there to set up X. rather than tell its own story.
Mhm.
And that is a bummer.
Mm.
We'll get into it.
But let's get into it real quickly.
Wait, what did you think?
I was about to say.
Oh, great.
I loved it. So let's get into it, Sparks, because you
Wait,
started.
you loved it? You loved it.
I did.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That's God. I'm so happy at least one of us.
I
does.
can't gauge where you're gonna land off your letterbox ratings anymore because I'm like, I gave it an 8. You gave it an 8. I was like, I loved it. We're coming out swinging with loved it. I thought like had a good time. Like what? All right. Anyway,
I mean, it's both. I had a good time
Right
and I
on,
loved it.
I loved things in it.
Yeah.
Go. What thing?
I'll tell you what. The everything before we get to the quantum realm, I'm like, hell yeah, baby. Ant-Man's back. The first 20 minutes, Cassie's going to jail just like her old man. Oh, Cassie, come on. You're not there, Dad. She's hanging out with the Gramps and the grandma. Like, they're having fun. I love that. I love the interactions. We get to the quantum realm. I'm like, cool. This kind of feels like Star Wars. A little dark. Can't really see some stuff. That's fine. I'll probably get used to it. Never gets any better. Spoiler alert. I love Kang. I love Scott. I kinda, and this makes me sad, didn't love Catherine Newton. And I thought she was totally fine. She yells dad a lot, and it kind of sounds bad half the time. Is Hope even in this movie? Is the Wasp in this movie at all? This should have been called Ant-Man and Stature Quantumania, if I'm being honest, because Hope's not in this movie. Boy, Michael Douglas, that dude just took an edible and he's like, I'm just happy to be here. He's awesome in this movie because he's just chilling out, hanging out with ants, being goofy. But yeah, overall, I'm like, yeah.
No words for your queen, Michelle Pfeiffer.
She's great. I wanted more her and Kang together, but that's because I just think they have good chemistry together. Sure. Thank you for. There's a lot of characters in this movie.
There are.
Don't forget about Neb and Natara and Zefoy and Glip Glop.
Glip Glop.
Is that the blob guy that wants holes?
I do.
That's
like
Neb.
Yeah. Oh, is that Nev? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Voiced by David Dastmalchian,
the Baba Yaga man.
as Mag pointed out. Because he's the Baba Yaga guy from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'll go.
Jelly hole.
I kind of am more positive than Ryan, but not too different. I think Catherine Newton's pretty good as Cassie. I think the problem is that this movie's not really about her relationship with Scott. And like I wish it was. It feels like it wanted to be. But
I thought
it's
it was
constantly
going to
giving
be.
up time to be about other things. And this movie is half a movie about Kang, and then half a movie about all the other Ant-Man stuff. And I wish it was a movie that was mostly about Ant-Man stuff, and then a little bit about Kang. And that's the general overall thing. I have to agree with Ryan about the Hope thing. The longer I sat on it, the more I was like, Hope went with the wrong party. Hope should have been with Scott and Cassie, because I think that there's a lot more relationship dynamic to mine there. We haven't seen them functionally like be deep in their relationship together. We haven't seen her as like the person who gave Cassie a suit behind Scott's back and can like kind of play the third person, refereeing them working on their relationship, still having the 5-year blip amongst them and how they're finding their way with each other and where those gaps are and that kind of thing. And like, there's a lot more I think that could have been done there for Hope. And Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer could have just run with all the same stuff and done more, just the two of them. Like Hope didn't add anything by being with them.
And like, go ahead, man.
No, one of my biggest complaints, or one of the things that I just like it didn't take me out of the movie, but one thing is why I was like just really like, that didn't feel earned, was Hope and Scott saying I love you at the end of the movie. Now, the reason why it didn't feel earned is because, I mean, I get that they've been through a whole bunch of crap together. They were on the Avengers, and they are this new unit. Like, Cassie obviously sees Hope as a kind of stepmom, parental figure, because she has her mom and stepdad, and now she has her dad and Hope.
Sorry,
like she calls, okay, and she calls Hank grandpa, for God's sakes. But
That's cute.
I definitely agree with Sparks at the end that Hope should have been with Scott, so then they could see, hey, this is what's going on. Like, there was maybe not a maybe like some sort of plot thread, like some little problem that these two need to go through together, so they could reach that part of their relationship. I don't know. It just felt like
I'll push back a little bit because like I don't think that I love you needed to be earned. They've been together for at least a year and a half post Endgame.
They kissed at the end of their first movie.
It'd be weird if this was the first time they said I love you. So I don't think that moment needed to be earned, but I do think there was more interesting relationship stuff to see if they were together.
It didn't even need to be a moment. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure, they love each other. We know that. We've seen it. They're responding and stuff like that. But it was like this pause-esque moment that the audience didn't need to see because, or even in their storyline, that's not what they were struggling on. That's not what they were going through.
They were totally happy, it looked like,
So like that, I love you is like, of course they do. Like, why do we?
They did like focus on it, like for a weird reason.
I think partially because like they just haven't said it in front of us.
Sure.
And like that's fine.
But I know they love each other.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think the clear visualization that that's true is when all the Scots, which I actually really love this moment, all the Scots and all the Hopes.
That's my favorite.
Come together and grab onto each other, and all their probabilities collapse into one. And I'm like,
talk about like
that tells me they love each other. I get it there. Like you don't need to tell me.
Let's just get rid of that one guy that's in pink.
Oh, the basketball guy. Yeah, let's talk. We can talk about the probability scene. I was worried that scene was just going to be like nonsense for nonsense sake, but like seeing it being a probability field, and seeing them become ants and like how grim it seems, like that's a really cool scene. And especially when Wasp finally shows up, I'm like, oh, you are in this movie, thank God. And like at the probability stuff's happened, I'm like, man, this was a great visual. This is some cool ass shit.
Yeah,
I loved it. That was great.
Yeah, the probability scene was I also loved it. I just love how like the constant duplication of the constant probabilities. I thought that was really good. Like whenever someone gets big and they just like turn into string cheese, I was like, oh no, that's so sad. But yeah, I think I feel more how Marty feels about like how we didn't really need to see that thing at the end, because obviously we know that they have feelings for each other, but that was one of the things about the movie that I was just. It was more of a me thing. I was like, yeah, I don't really like that moment. I mean, other moments in the movie that I really did enjoy, like Grayson earlier in the chat talked about Darren, don't be a dick.
We'll get to MODOK.
Yeah, we'll get to MODOK. But really, I actually liked Cassie. I liked her quite a bit. She, oddly enough, when I was watching her, it reminded me. This is probably because we most recently read the book. I saw the Cassie in the comic book that we just read, Hot World Hive.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that was the type of Cassie I saw on screen, and I was for it. I was like, yeah, this feels like Cassie grown up 5 years. She's going to be Stinger, or she's Stature now. And I guess where I was missing more of Cassie interacting with Scott and Hope and not just Scott.
Sure.
Well, I think like, and they're just amongst the three of them, I think there was a way to create like a character Ant-Man family arc that's just not really here.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And that's the main thing that I'm just like, I don't know why this isn't here, because it's somewhere in there where I'm like, we're just not getting the character movement of Ant-Man that I'm used to from the other two Ant-Man films.
And it doesn't, and again, it didn't need to feel exactly like Ant-Man 1 and 2, because they're trying to do a big sci-fi movie.
Sure.
But just watching this, it didn't have the same like sincerity or heart as those other movies did. And again, it's like, it's not trying to be that, but like, that's why I like the Ant-Man movies. And like, there's not enough like great family stuff. There's some really cool sci-fi stuff for sure. But like, I mean, like, I guess Ant-Man being like Kang being Ant-Man's like big villain is really interesting, and having like, and that is maybe what I'm rubbing up against. And like, man, did Ant-Man need to fight Kang? Like, it's because like I don't have this problem, but people are like, okay, so Kang got his ass beat by Ant-Man. Why should we be afraid of some of the Avengers? I'm like, well, did you see there's 1,000 other of them? Like, give them some credit. There's a lot of them.
Just because you brought up that note, like I do think, to me, trying to think about like the film, the major general MCU audience, to me, you don't have to sell me on Kang. I know what Kang's about.
Sure.
But I think they do a lot of talking about how badass Kang is and like what Kang is capable of and all this. And I'm like, not that I wanted a cameo show, but when Janet sees the flashes of his life, how come we didn't see like some costumed Avengers bodies, even if we're not seeing the actors.
A broken shield.
Yeah, just like something kind of Age of Ultron-ish with Tony's like flash forward. Even in glimpses, just to give us like, oh, he's like killed people we care about, just to like really visually show to a film audience. Instead, we just see him like blasting. I don't know. That's part of I don't know.
Yeah.
That kind of felt a little hollow for me, like for like trying to impress upon an audience what Kang is.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, but man, that was such a good scene though when she like touches it and he's like, "I'm just trying to help you. Like, I just want to get you home."
Yeah, and I believe that Kang does like really like her, and like he does. They do have a bond. They do have really good chemistry together. And he is like, "Yeah, I am gonna go be a bad guy, but I will get you home." Like that's still a deal between us homies. But Janet has.
And when she asks him how many worlds will die, he goes, "Not yours."
Yeah, isn't that just a nice? What a nice guy Kang is.
I'm going to commit genocide on countless planets, but yours is going to be safe. I will make sure I won't touch yours. Yours is fine.
Something I do like about the way they write Kang in this a lot is this sense of he's constantly throwing out, I want you to remember that this is your fault. Yeah. I want you to remember that this isn't on me. This is on you. You made a choice, and this is what happens because of the choice. Rather than taking any like, person. It's all like, oh, you're making me
yes,
do this.
As you're getting punched in the face. Why are you making me punch you? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Jonathan Majors rules. Like, I wasn't worried. Like, he is probably like the coolest, like the best part of the movie. Even if him being in the movie is an interesting place. And Brandon, why don't you share some thoughts? We shared plenty of positive thoughts. Why don't you share a couple?
To answer Grayson's comment, I've been, for whatever reason, since we started the review, I've been having this really terrible cough. I don't know what's going on, but I'll try to get through some things because I have a lot of thoughts about what you guys are saying.
I want to hear
them. One of the you guys talked about Kang destroying those timelines. I agree, Sparks. I think that's a really good point. That it would be better to have seen someone that not even like Chris Evans, but like the Captain America shield, as Ryan said, or like the Iron Man helmet, or something to acknowledge that because he says in the movie, "Have I killed you yet? Are you the one with the hammer?" He knows these Avengers. He knows who they are, but we get a flashback that could be the point of showing that moment, but we don't see it. We're just told it.
Right. How easy would it have been to see like Iron Man and Hulk both getting wiped out by one of his blasts or something? Yeah. Like they're all just visually recreated. Like it wouldn't have taken much.
Just do the Spider-Man No Way Home and just reuse footage from another movie. Like you don't even have to do new footage. Just like show an image of the Hulk getting beat from an Endgame or something.
Yeah. And the other thing is I wanted to mention I really like Jonathan Majors. I think that's unanimous. Everybody does. He has an interesting motivation in this movie that I think is like the opposite of He Who Remains. So I kind of find it interesting that we've seen two Kangs at this point, He Who Remains and Kang, and they both have the same end goal, but for a different reason.
Yes.
This Kang wants to destroy all the timelines to rule them all. The He Who Remains wanted to destroy all the other timelines so that there's no evil Kangs.
Right.
He was
cool.
technically like the best of them. He's like, I know how bad I am, and like technically what I'm doing is like killing trillions of other universes, but I promise you it's better than what is out there. I promise you I'm awful. I am awful, I promise. And yeah, he is. All of them are.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Majors. Like I really like how committed he is to the role. And we'll talk about the post credits. That just floored me
for sure.
Great stuff. But I think that you guys talked about Cassie. I wholeheartedly disagree with the two of you, Ryan and Sparks. I'm sorry. I really liked Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang. I thought she was delightful.
I'm the only one who.
I said I liked Catherine Newton as Cassie.
He disagreed with me.
All I said was that I just thought that she needed more of an arc in the movie.
Yeah,
sure. I don't even know if I agree with that though. I really thought she was delightful, and I really can't wait to see her again. She has I think such good chemistry with Paul Rudd, but something that you'd said rung true for me more than anything, which was hope. And I apologize for just going backwards through your points.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You were coughing a lot. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's hope. Hope is there. she is there. There's a lot of talk about her appearance, or her arc, or her character development in Ant-Man and the Wasp, a movie that I greatly enjoy. I don't know if I agree with a lot of what is said about Hope in Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I found at least Evangeline Lilly was more committed than she was in this movie, and perhaps she was just kind of bored with the script. She knew that she wasn't being given a lot, and it shows. And so she's honestly, I think the only weak point for me is Hope. At least any major one that would negate my feelings towards this movie. But yeah, I've been sitting with this for a couple of days, and I'm like, I think I love this.
I just can't believe that it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp, and the Wasp is barely in the movie. Like, I really think this should have been called Ant-Man and Stature. Like, do the naming conventions, because this movie's more about him and his daughter, even though it should have been more about that.
It just feels so glaring to me that, like, much to the point that you're saying, Brandon, which is just like, I think she is the weakest thing of the movie by the virtue of, like, them just not doing anything with her. Like, she just... Hank and Janet's like side story, like not even side story, but their alternate story. You got your two stories. Like, it's good. In fact, maybe even better without Hope there. Like, it's already great. They're killing it. I loved watching Hank and Janet. I loved watching them so much, and I'm like, Hope, unfortunately, is just not adding anything. The only thing she's adding is this, like, upsetness that her mom is not sharing everything with her, and they just hit that beat with her over and over and over again. And I'm like, Hope would have had so much more to add by being the intermediary between the rift happening between Scott and Cassie. And I think they just could have made that a little more accentuated, and even made, like, a small amount. I didn't want a whole lot of drama around it, but a small amount of Scott being like, you gave her a suit behind my back kind of thing. Right. And, like, you know, all these different levels of, like, Scott, you've been doing just like what we're introducing in the movie. Like, in the beginning, you've been doing the book tour. You've been focused on these other things. You're not paying attention. And all of that just be the dynamic. The idea of, like, just she serves so much better of a purpose, even if she's not doing a lot more in the story necessarily, by being in the same position as Cassie, threatened by Kang, and then coming in and helping Scott the same way. Again, like, one of my favorite visuals in the film is her and Scott reaching for each other and the probabilities collapsing. Would work even more if she was part of the scenes with Scott before that.
Yep.
I think real quickly, Ryan, about the probability thing. I also really like that scene. I thought that was a really cool visual, and I think that scene is the only reason why they're split, because it's important that they come together at that moment, and you know, that's fine. Still wish there was. If there was more done with her, but I wanted to highlight a moment in that probability scene, which I really liked, which is when they hear Cassie, all the Scots hear Cassie on the intercom, and they all uniformly like, "Oh, this is Cassie! Get him up there! Let's go! Come on!" They're all working together to help Cassie.
Right, which is why it would have been really good, because you have Cassie up there and that motivation thing that brings them all together and unites them. And again, like, you could have just had Wasp up there as well, and she comes down to help Scott. And, like, she could have just jumped into the probability field from there, rather than coming from, like, the Hank and Janet side of the story. And you get both of those things right there. Who are the most important people to Scott? Cassie and Hope. That's it. Like, it's all right there.
And all the stuff with Hank and Janet was so fun. And them talking about, like, oh, you know, you were gone for 30 years. Like, we both had lovers. And they don't make a big deal out of it. But Hope is just there to, like, be a downer. Yeah. Be like, why did you hide this from me, Mom? Like, just, I can't believe like they do that like 3 times in a row. And I'm like, I get it. Let the parents have fun.
Just real fast, I want to say, like, I found it so refreshing how briskly they moved through, like, Hank and Janet talking about relationships in the time they were separated.
She's banging Bill Murray. He's like, yeah, I get it.
I'm glad it was not that big of a deal. It wasn't some big derailment. They didn't turn it into Hank having, like, a dumb, jealous fit rage that, like, for half the movie.
Hank in this movie, like, his, like, rough edges are completely sanded. He is a totally fun, chill dude who, like, is like, oh yeah, these ants from 1,000 years in the future came to help us. I love it. I love ants.
You read my book every goddamn word.
That's so good. He is like the secret MVP. Like, because Michael Douglas finally gets to have, like, just be fun. Like, more of the Ant-Man 2 version, just more of that. I love it.
I loved Michael Douglas throughout this entire movie. I have no negative.
There's a line. Literally, any negatives I could have about this movie are never lobbied at Michael Douglas.
Never.
But, like, he has a moment where he's like talking to the science. Like, he was always theorized that there'd be people down here. Look at all these people, and holy shit, that guy looks like a piece of broccoli.
Yeah.
And I
That was
really
so
like
funny.
that.
on our walk to the car, that was like Fanny's favorite line. When we were like,
Broccoli.
"Holy shit, that guy looks like broccoli."
I will
Mi-
say
Michael
this
Douglas has a
does-
lot of funny lines that I love.
This does feel like a Rick and Morty episode, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a negative, but this being Jeff Loveness, who wrote a bunch of Rick and Morty, he also is a comic book writer, but like Rick and Morty get transported to an alternate dimension and they make goo people, and I'm like, I've seen this episode.
I will say most specifically in the probability scene, the Baskin Robbins Scott.
Yeah.
That felt like a Rick and Morty gag.
Yeah.
Like it was funny at first, and then like
it got in the way of the
up,
seriousness.
Like, he shows up 2 more times, and I'm like, this feels like Rick and Morty. This feels like we're hitting the joke more times than we should.
Again, like these are things I find funny, like the don't be a dick stuff with MODOK, which we'll get to MODOK, who I love. That like all like the holes thing really felt like Rick and Morty, but again, I think that's really funny. I think Jeff Loveness
that was a great joke.
I think Jeff Loveness is a really funny writer. I'm curious about him like writing big movie scripts like this. Because if he's like, because like Michael Waldron, who did Multiverse of Madness, is writing one of the Secret Wars or
Secret Wars,
yeah, and then King Dynasty.
He's doing King Dynasty.
Loveness is writing King Dynasty.
Yeah, so like.
He's got a good voice for King.
He's got a good voice. I'm wondering if it's more the director. Like I'm wondering like what if it's a writer or the director that just made me not totally love this movie. Because like I also think honestly visually, I never have this problem. I think this movie's really dark. I don't think like I know they wanted a different aesthetic from like Guardians of the Galaxy. You're doing like a different type of Star Wars thing, but like it feels like they filmed half the shit in the closet sometimes. I just don't understand it.
I feel that way often, but I didn't feel that way in this film.
Yeah, it's like there's just certain shots, like specifically, like people are talking, and it's like there's no lighting here. There's no lighting here, and it's not a big, it's not like a big deal, but it's like I really noticed it. Like it's not vibrant like I thought the movie would be.
I will say that the section of it that got to me in that regard is some of the early flashback stuff with Janet and Kang.
Yeah,
before they get closer to fixing the chair. It's very dark there, and I feel like a lot of it is to hide some of the de-aging effect on Michelle Pfeiffer. And I get it, but like it was very dark to the point where I'm like, you need some reflective lighting here. Like this is darker than it needs to be.
It's not the whole movie, but it's definitely like I can tell you this was not this. I mean, this is most of this is filmed on green screen volume stuff. So like lighting is what it is.
There's only a couple. This is actually one of the few times that I can remember recently of someone utilizing the volume well, because I think the opening flashback that Sparks talks about is kind of the biggest offender for two reasons. One, which is what Ryan is talking about, which is the lighting issue, which I do think is a problem in that scene specifically. But also, this is the only time where I felt the volume. And I didn't feel that way in the other times where the volume was clearly present. And I was really impressed by that because I felt it a lot in Thor: Love and Thunder, and I feel it a lot in Mandalorian and Obi-Wan. So like it has happened before, and I thought Peyton Reed used the volume in a really interesting way for this one.
Yeah, I would say like 95% of the time it works. Like there are definitely a few shots where I'm like, it just looks like you're on a green screen, and there's only so much you can do when you're doing something like a movie like this, and like you're all muted colors on a muted background, like with not a lot of lighting. Like it's all gonna kind of blend together after a while.
Just while we're talking about the opening, did it strike anybody else as a little odd? Maybe I'm just a freak.
Super freak.
I think about editing, so it's not surprising. But like, wasn't it weird that we had the Marvel Studios intro, the flashback, then to Modern Day with Scott? I'm like, why didn't we do that tiny flashback, then the intro, then the Modern Day with Scott? That's usually what we do with these Marvel movies. And I would get it if the scene were longer, but it's only like a minute.
Oh, that's true.
That we're with Janet and Kang, and I'm like, why wasn't that the opening of the movie?
That is interesting. I didn't think about it. It is weird.
I mean, I'm a weirdo and I think about things.
No,
like
but
that,
it is
like,
but it's not consistent with what they always do. Which
it totally felt weird. Like once we got out of the intro, I thought, oh, we're going to be in this Kang and Janet scene for a bit then. And then we weren't. And then we jumped to modern day and I'm like,
isn't it like it goes from
black? Why wasn't Kang's last line of like, what is this place? And then Marvel Studios intro into the music, the happy music with Scott's narration, the order. That felt so jarring.
Maybe I don't think it's a good choice, but maybe it was to be jarring because it goes like from black to it's me, I'm Scott. But like that's not.
It didn't work.
I don't think that's a good choice.
If that was the intention. It didn't land.
I think it's to lighten the mood. It's to make it funny. Like I think a lot of like the jokes in this just ruin the pacing of the story.
Sure,
And,
that's
like,
yeah.
And I feel like they replaced a lot of the jokes to create, or replaced a lot of the story with jokes, and it just like it breaks up moments, and like that would be one of those. Is like this, hey, da 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 da, and it's like, but you just created this like kind of dark like setup. And
So that
right,
just
because
happened.
like because like when you put it, if you put it before the Marvel Studios intro, we're spending too much time on this, but if you put it before the Marvel Studios intro and Kang says that, that's really for the audience that already knows him from Loki, right? Then it's supposed to be like, oh, what's this Marvel Studios intro? You're invested, yeah? Prologue, okay, Scott Lang.
It is interesting. Yeah.
It's weirded me out. I thought it was a bad cut.
Can we talk about our big face boy?
Darren Cross.
He's not a dick.
I love him.
Died an Avenger.
I love him so much, and I think this is so funny because I know Marty doesn't.
That's fair.
Really?
Here's the thing: MODOK is he's not a character that any like. He's a big face man. That's as much as you need to know. He had a TV show that people really like. There's a lot of great miniseries, but like MODOK is a dumb villain, right? If you don't like him, that's fair. People think he's gross. Some people don't think he's gross enough. Like the opinions on MODOK are all over the place. It's really funny.
My wife didn't like looking at him.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, people want him uglier like the comics. And I'm like, is he not ugly enough? What are you talking about? He's a big face man.
Sorry, Corey Stoll.
Sorry. Listen, that dude's handsome.
I think it's inspired that it was Darren Cross as MODOK.
Me too, yeah.
Honestly. It created a really fun villain, in my opinion, for Cassie to deal with. This kind of like personal villain that traumatized her when she was younger. Yeah. And then confronting her. I really liked MODOK in this movie, and I thought he was a lot of fun. I thought he was very funny. I think he looks so uncomfortable, and as he should, in my opinion. I think MODOK should look uncomfortable.
Yeah. He's exactly who. If I had one complaint, and it's not even a big like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I wish he survived, but we live in a multiverse where I bet Kang has a MODOK in every universe. Because why wouldn't you? Also, like, MODOK isn't Corey Stoll or Darren Cross, so like there could be the real MODOK still in our world. Like, you know, all this is
Pull a Mandarin.
Sure, yeah.
I really like the idea. I think it's so smart for it to have been Darren Cross because of the way he died, that like collapsing in on himself. The idea that he collapsed completely into the helmet, into the head, and with the tiny limbs. I was like,
this tiny booty.
This makes more sense than most explanations you could make for why MODOK looks like MODOK. So like, I'm into it. This works for me. Yeah. And I liked it being a personal history for Scott and Cassie and all that. Like the full circle of it lands. I think my only thing about it is that I kind of wish MODOK were more of the prominent, not necessarily antagonist, but like more prominent as an adversary to the Ant-Man family in this film, and Kang were a little bit more of a backseat outside of with Janet, so that this movie doesn't feel so absolutely like it's forcing Kang down your throat.
What if I told you, Sparks Witty, that was the original plan?
I mean, I'm sure that's true.
MODOK was the original big bad, and Kang was kind of like the mastermind trying to get out from the Wizard of Oz. And they were like, what if we made it a big Avengers movie? And I'm like, okay. Kang's still cool. Like, I glad I saw him.
I love MODOK's tiny booty.
God, I can't believe we saw his little butt. So what a stupid. I truly cannot believe we are 31 movies in, 40 whatever it is, 40 and we got big head MODOK. I can't believe it. And there are people online who are like, he's not perfect like the comics. I'm like, shut your mouth. Who cares?
I think we get. I'm sure I've talked about this before, and I hope I don't throw us into a rabbit hole, but I think we get a prominent butt shot in every phase, at least one. Sure. Two of them have been Thor. One in Thor and one in Thor Love and Thunder. Ragnarok has the Hulk's butt.
Sure.
This one has MODOK's butt. I'm trying to remember any more butt shots. I probably shouldn't. It's weird.
That's all you need to know.
But anyway. Yeah, no, I like the setup. I like him being there. All the reasons why he's there. That's great. But like, and they make him sound like he's gonna be this super scary thing.
Yeah.
The hunter. Oh no, the hunter's terrible. And then the hunter's a joke. And it's like, why are you guys afraid of this joke? He's a joke.
Yeah.
There's
so
nothing
interesting
funny about him. A 16-year-old girl who doesn't know how to fight can beat him. Well, like, there's nothing that like.
Did you? Because the point
of go ahead.
No, so I'm curious because like he is a joke. The point is he is a joke.
But,
the point that a 16-year-old girl can kick his ass is yeah, because he's a big face. He's dumb.
But then everybody else who's afraid of him, who has lost.
Oh, sure. Okay, sure.
They are all now jokes too.
I'll tell you what. Here's my bullshit reasoning is he wears a mask the whole time. So the quantum realm people don't know he's Darren Cross. He can probably kill regular people that aren't superheroes pretty easily with his laser beams and like attacks and whatever and buzzsaws. So Scott and Cassie know he's a joke because they know who Darren Cross is and they know he's turned into this thing. So I think everybody else doesn't know he's a joke.
But the Yellow Jacket wasn't a joke either. Like when he was the Yellow Jacket, he was frightening.
It's true.
That was some creepy ass stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
So like now all of a sudden he's just, and I get that MODOK is like, he's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like silly. I get that. But like how they set him up and then what they did with him is that he was just a gag.
Yeah.
And that's all it was.
He is more of a gag than a character. And that is, I will give like people who are mad about like, he's just a one note villain. Like I will give you credit. Like there could have been a more compelling version of MODOK in this movie, but like, he's not a character I'm going to go up to bat for like I would like a Taskmaster, to be honest. Like he's not like a Black Panther villain. He's a dude with a big head. Like you want pathos MODOK, watch the Patton Oswalt show. You know what I mean? Like mostly in the comics, he's a big asshole.
Well, but even in the Patton Oswalt show, the point is that he's also a joke in that.
Yeah, and he's trying to get taken seriously and stuff.
But I get what Marty means because it's like he's not introduced that way, and certainly not from the perspective of like this is more a problem with me that I have with like the quantum realm people that you're referring to because like I think they're just kind of distracting.
Yeah,
I get having them. I get having like Kang has to have someone to conquer.
Yes,
and like. But I'm like we're spending time with these characters, but we're not investing in these characters. Like I didn't mind the initial setup of them, but like the fact that we come back to them for the rebellion and give a lot of time to them, I'm like, this is time that should go to other characters.
Spend a lot of time.
We're just not spending it. Like the only thing I found truly valuable is like Cassie freeing the girl because I'm like this makes sense because Cassie can't just like go start all this on her own.
Yeah.
But then that we're cutting away so often to like talented actors who I really like the actor who plays Chidi on The Good Place and stuff like that. But it's not like they have a lot to do in a lot of the scenes we're cutting to.
Chidi might as well not even have been in the movie. Like whether he's like a famous actor or not, like that character, a lot of the quantum people like
he has two of my favorite jokes. I will say that.
Okay, that's fair.
Because he has the 7 holes joke, which is really
okay. Cool. That's fair.
And he does have the one that I liked, which is where they read the guard. The guard's like, "I'll never tell," and then he reads his mind, and he's like, "It's this." And he's like, "Well, shit."
Okay, that's all right. All right.
Are the guards sentient? Are they like?
They're robots,
right? They're robots.
They're robots.
So how does he read a robot's mind?
That's a good question.
Robots have brains.
Do they?
Cyborgs have brains.
I mean, like a computer brain.
Robots, do they? Right.
Well, here's the thing.
Or they could be people that freely enlisted with Kang. Like when King was conquering, those people, that's just their uniform. They just have a voice modulator or something.
Here's the thing: the movie doesn't clarify any of this, so all these answers are potentially true. Right. We don't see anyone under those helmets, and I could have swore at one point somebody said he's robotic army, but I could be, conflating stuff.
Who knows?
Yeah. Any more positive, Brandon? I know you haven't said a lot.
Let's see. I enjoy the humor in this movie quite a bit. I know that rubbed against Marty a little bit. Actually, for much of the same reason why the Thor: Love and Thunder humor isn't working for me these days. But I'm not sure what the difference is here outside of maybe I just find the sense of humor, Jeff Loveness' sense of humor more appealing than Taika Waititi's at this point in my life. But I think that most, if not all, the jokes landed for me. There's there's so many things with Hank that I mentioned already, but there's a few more that I thought about, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to list them. I just thought this was I wrote it down because I liked it so much. Thank goodness I looked at my notes. It's when they're talking about the buildings and the quantum people and they're like, "Are your buildings alive? Are your buildings dead?" I just thought that was really funny.
That was very good, but
that was me.
Yeah, I like the humor.
I love that finale. I think generally third act Like I always get worried with these big third acts, but
did you guys catch the part where one of the living buildings was holding
Yes.
another living building?
Oh yeah,
I was like
the third act of not just the rebels coming and all the ships, the living ships, but the army that got sent in a different tunnel that came 1,000 years before them, who has an entire civilization, and they're like the elves in the Two Towers. Love it. So ridiculous. Some people are really mad that Kang got beat up by a bunch of ants, and I'm like, y'all, that's just fun.
That's such a good moment.
Fun.
That's such a good moment because it's I kept thinking to myself, how are there going to be ants in this movie that we're going to the quantum realm? And then when I saw the ant farm get taken, I was like, oh, okay, that's how. But making it so cool of like, and then seeing the ants go through the time tunnel for 1,000 years and expanding their knowledge is so funny. But then like Kang doesn't give a shit about Scott. Like here's Scott Lang, Ant-Man. Who cares about Scott Lang, Ant-Man? You talk to ants. You're not going to do anything. And like, I'm not going to be beaten by a guy who talks to ants. And then these giant ants come in. It's such a triumphant and solid moment to like end this kind of like idea that Ant-Man is this worthless hero. It's kind of, back what it's like. It reminds me a lot of like back when Aquaman, like they were saying like, oh, Aquaman talks to fish and like he summons like a giant kraken and a shark. And it's like that's what he does.
The part where the ants come to beat the shit out of King, I felt like it was like a surprise mother effer moment. Like where there's because he straight up says, "Oh, you just talked to ants. I've killed thousands of Avengers before, and you just talked to what's that?" And it's just a giant army of ants.
Michael Douglas swaggers in like only Michael Douglas can, and I was like, "Yeah, baby, that's cool."
If I may, real quick, like it's like the best. I think like it's also, this isn't a slight on you, by the way, Marty. I think a lot of where you've landed is valid. I just don't always agree, but I think it is a lot of like, if you read the comics a lot, when you get to a more comedic comic, something that would be like Ant-Man or something like that, and they bring in a heavy hitter like Kang, usually part of the humor is the fact that like it's this person who's normally so seriously taken, kind of being foiled by dumb shit, and also being like, how am I being foiled by dumb shit?
Yeah,
because like part of it is the ants overwhelming him, but it's also like that he didn't see MODOK betraying him in that moment, coming and slamming into the force field and saying, my name is Darren and I'm not a dick, and Kang just being like, what is happening?
And he just literally kills him instantly. Like, I got a great quote from one of the Kang comics I was reading, and this is like the ethos of Kang and why he gets defeated all the time. This is after he won. Right. At last, I was not guilty of underestimating my foe. Too often in the past, I have let my contempt for the other beings blind me to these Avengers. Because he hates so much, and he doesn't think that Scott Lang can kick his ass. So when it does happen, it does happen.
Well, the other thing that I value about it that I disagree with, like people bouncing off of Kang being beaten in this way, is that like Kang doesn't get beaten in that way. Kang comes back and almost gets through the portal and fights Scott, physically beating the shit out of Scott. And he says, like, you can't win this, Scott. You can't physically beat me.
Yeah.
And Scott says, I don't have to beat you. We both just have to lose. And is willing to sacrifice what he has to stop Kang. And that's the only part that's important about that, is like, you're right. Toe-to-toe, Ant-Man can't beat Kang, but he can prevent him from achieving his goal.
True.
Exactly.
True.
And I think that's the only part that's important about that. And so it's like, it's not about it like, Ant-Man isn't stronger than Kang now. There's nothing in this movie that says that. What it does say is that Ant-Man is, under the right circumstances, able to do enough, to sacrifice enough to push Kang away from his goal.
And Kang is at such an elevated level of like being, like, he like multiverse, time travel, all that shit, right? Like, he does not think that a dude who talks to ants is going to be able to do anything to him. And so when it happens, like, there's nothing he can do about it, because he cannot expect 1,000-year-old technologically advanced army of ants out of nowhere. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, like.
I also like that Hope comes back for him.
Yeah, I do too.
The original ending that did not test well was that Scott and Hope got left in the quantum realm.
Yeah, which it feels
and
like
that should have been the ending. That should have been the ending.
The random portal that just shows up.
But here's the thing.
Here's
Why I do like it. Because Cassie's line when she's initially talking about it, if I had this, I could have saved you from the quantum realm earlier. So she built that literally to save her dad.
In 2 seconds.
So it is a full circle thing. I still think it would have been a more satisfying ending if Scott's sacrifice was like meant something.
What do you mean, Mag? Sorry, Mag's comment. still wonder what Jimmy Woo was doing with Scott in the beginning. He was going to a restaurant and eating with him. Don't you remember the joke in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
He was
that
having
they were
dinner.
Go have dinner.
Yeah.
Where would we even go?
Magic.
Where they are.
Magic.
Okay, so since we brought that up, it seems a little silly to me. I get the Baskin-Robbins joke guy. But the fact that we brought him back twice, we do a second gag with him at the end of the movie.
And not the homies?
We can't have Michael Pena in this movie?
The homies?
Yeah.
What?
The homies.
What? Shut up.
Not even...
Or Judy Greer at the birthday?
Not even a reference.
Yeah.
Not even a line about like, oh, I wish our friends were here. Nothing. That's just like, I don't blame that on Jeff Loveness. I do blame Peyton Reed, the guy who's made these other two movies. Like, why don't you include the homies? I don't get it.
I agree with Sparks in the sense of the birthday scene, because there's no room for them in this movie. Like, realistically, you could have probably replaced Randall Park with Michael Pena in the montage in the beginning, but that's really the only place that they can be.
Anything.
Just imply that like Scott helped them make that business successful. I like one shot is enough to at least like keep them in mind.
Yeah. So when we get to the birthday at the end, I was really confused why at least Judy Greer wasn't there, because and like I get like the joke that it's not her actual birthday, but like still like that feels like that's where you put those characters, because again it's not like you're bringing them to the quantum realm. That's not this movie. Like, but you can have them at the end there for a cameo at least.
Yeah, it just for me that feels like something where like there is an amount of like these decisions, some of the things that I'm rubbing up against that we're talking about, and things like not having Michael Pena's character reference in this film and everything, where I'm like, I feel like this Ant-Man film wasn't made for the people who were fans of the first two.
No, 100%. No, because here's the thing, like, as much as we like the Ant-Man movies, those movies don't make $1 jillion. Like, for regular people, they just don't, but like King, they just underestimate Scott. Like, because he's not an Avenger, he's not even, his movie is not even worth watching. And that's an unfortunate, like, a reality of how people feel about, like, certain movies and characters. They don't give characters chances.
Which is still just silly when you consider it's Paul Rudd.
I know! I know!
That's weird to me. Like I agree. Like I think this movie, for the most part, is built for people who didn't go see the two Ant-Man films. I felt that way when I was looking at the marketing. Like there's a sense that like they're trying to be like, this is the Ant-Man movie. You haven't seen the first two. This is the one. Go see this one, please.
Yeah.
And like I get it. I really like the first two Ant-Man movies, so I kind of wish this adhered more to what I liked about them. But there's also like people don't like those Ant-Man movies. People don't like this Ant-Man movie.
Yeah. So nobody wins.
But that's all the more thing where like I feel like character arcs or decisions, like yes, there are these joke references like we referenced with Jimmy Woo, like we referenced with the Baskin-Robbins thing, that are there, and like certainly they are acknowledging the history of these movies existing, but I don't feel like it's carrying over a lot of the core of how these characters interacted with each other. Not a lot. It is there, but it's not as much as I want it to be for a third Ant-Man movie.
Like him calling his daughter Peanut, like in the middle of a big battle.
Oh, that finally felt good. Yeah. It took a long time to get there.
Yeah, and like that is a thing that like I think only people who've watched the other Ant-Man movies would appreciate.
Right.
So like, those moments are there, but like this definitely felt like not like a soft reboot of any sense, but like you don't really have to worry about those other movies if you
go home and watch Legends on Disney Plus, watch Endgame, and then you're good.
Yeah.
But that said, I was really concerned going into this movie that everything I love about the first two Ant-Man films won't be present in there. I have to admit that I did feel enough of that kind of emotionality between Scott and Cassie to carry this movie for me. That to me was there, and that is part of the heart of the Ant-Man films that I do appreciate. And I was glad that at least carried over, and that was for me. Honestly enough at this point in my life anyway. Who knows what I'll feel like next month.
That's true. I think for me it's not even that I don't think it's there, it's that it feels like there should have been more. Like there was a better version of telling the story. Again, I think a key part of it is where is Hope.
Yeah.
That Hope is just in like the opposite part of the story from what she should be. And I think that would have done a lot to make me feel more like we're doing the right beats. And it would have altered Scott and Cassie, but I think in a good way. And it's more me like not saying, oh, I didn't enjoy this movie. I really did enjoy this movie. I had a great time. It's ranked in the high middle of all my MCUs. Like I do enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
I think that I see like wasted potential in it for the opportunities that were present. We haven't said a lot about it, but I do want to spotlight that I think Michelle Pfeiffer is excellent in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted, I so wanted the truth to be that her and Kang had a kid, and that's who Iron Lad is. And that's the big secret that she didn't want to tell anybody.
It could still come.
It could still come, but I highly doubt it. Yeah, she is great. And like, again, the stuff with her and Hope, I wish was like better, because it's just her like nagging about why won't her mom tell her things. While her and her husband are having a great time. Love them together. Couldn't be happier.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, because you guys mentioned it before while I was having my coughing fit. I do really like the imagination in this movie. I think this movie is really imaginative. I really appreciate how, not even like, I wouldn't even go so far as to say the quantum realm was well thought out. I just really kind of like the imagination on display, that there are so many cool and interesting monsters and some cool and interesting, I like the ship designs of the quantum realm. I think the realm itself looks really interesting and visual. I was really, for me personally, I actually really like the vibrancy and the colors. There's so many like bright blues, even like dark blues, but like there's so many interesting kind of like warm coloring in the quantum realm that you don't often get with the Ant-Man films or the MCU in general. And I appreciated that. And once again, I really like the imagination of all the characters. Well, that said, that also brought me to a negative, which I don't like Ant-Man's suit. I don't like Ant-Man and the Wasp's new suit. I think it's too busy.
Oh, I like Wasp's new suit.
I like Wasp. I like the color of Wasp's suit. I'm glad it's more like bright yellow, but there's too many busy black lines going around in both of their suits for me.
I will only push back on Hope's, because I agree with you about Ant-Man's. I think Ant-Man's did look busier this time than it needed to. The reason Hope's works for me is because it looks like a Wasp. Like having the many black lines lands for me, so that didn't actually bother me.
Sure.
I get it, but like for me it worked.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just the end of my point. Like that's also the end of my notes. I really like the imagination of the movie.
I mean, actually, it looks less like a Wasp and more like a Yellow Jacket, but that's neither here nor there.
Darren,
Yellow Jacket's
I
dead.
also agree. Yeah. he died on Avenger.
He died in Avenger. I always considered you a brother Scott.
That is so funny. Oh my god.
I know you hate it, Marty. I think it's really funny.
I get the joke. It's funny. Like, it's a funny joke.
Just not for you. Humor is different for everyone.
No, like, I laughed. It was great. It was just one of those things where, like, I didn't want him to be as like much of a joke as they made him out.
That's fair.
I will say I wish that they'd done a little bit more with like the moment they only kind of like give you a brief glimpse of, where Kang like shoves him up against the wall and says, "Don't talk in my presence."
Yeah, his Starscream
like,
moment
looks at him as less than everything else, and like I wish that was baked in a tiny bit more to kind of assign like the way Darren views himself is informed by the way that Kang treats him.
Yeah.
Right, but like the whole "don't be a dick" thing, like he is a dick, and he should always be a dick. That's just what he is, and I don't know. The whole him trying to redeem himself, like he didn't need to be redeemed because he's just is a terrible person.
This goes,
and they don't think he's not a terrible person. Him doing that right thing once, they're like, "Well, you're still kind of awful."
Yeah, but he's dying.
I do think.
They're even looking at him like, you're still kind of awful.
Devil's advocate to your point. I do think that, like, again, a little bit more of that Kang relationship would have informed, like,
sure,
what has Darren become? Like, look at everything he lost turning into this version of himself in the quantum realm. And now he's treated as less than human by Kang all the time. And he's done that for 20 years or like whatever amount of time. Sorry, not 20 years, but like whatever amount of time it has been in the quantum realm that he's been here. Yeah. Sure. Right. And if that had been more there, I think it earns more the sense of like Darren being able to be like, what I think works is Cassie, when she slams Darren into the ground, he's like, "Come on back, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Dude, we're like, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
that part works for me. Maybe not, like, I get what you're saying about like the redemption and everything, and I do think like more of the Kang relationship stuff would have helped that, but her coming back at him like, "Dude, like, what even is this? Like, what's the end? What's the goal here, man? What do you get out of this now?
It's like
and he's just like, but I don't know how to be anything else.
This is all I know how to be.
This is kind of fair if you take it in the message of like, this is what Kang can turn people into.
Sure.
It does make Kang like more intimidating and sinister and dark and cruel in his own way. I wish they leaned on that harder.
Yeah.
But like, I think if you are allowing yourself to pontificate on that idea, that really works for me.
Right.
This idea of like what he was reduced to in the eyes of Kang.
Yeah.
Also, like, the final line after he dies is like, and Scott's like, man, what a day. Just like, this guy just dies in front of him, an Avenger, his old nemesis, now a big head man.
Like, Darren not even thinking of himself as Darren anymore. I do, like, it's fun. It's funny, but it's also, like, it's sad. Because it's like, you know, Scott trying to reach him on the radio, and he's like, MODOK, and he's like, yeah, what's up? And, like,
yeah, what's up?
He's so consumed by what Kang has turned him into.
He's got to live that life.
His identity is. This is what he's become. He is only important in the context of what he does.
Because what else is he gonna do? He'll just die if he fights Kang. Like this is he's a little jester man, big fat jester man.
I agree with you about like, you know, little too much on the jokey when like compared to the intimidation he's supposed to mean to the people who live there.
Yeah.
Brian,
I wanted to
go ahead.
Talk about what you were saying about the world.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back to that because I thought that was the world and just how it's kind of like on a cellular level and everything is like living and like even like putting your arms in the ship.
Oh, I love the goo
like,
arms.
Even like eating the food, all the food is still living and alive. And it's just like you're eating that weird octopus calamari thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like everything about it. It's like the only reason why you can like beat these things is because you're bigger than these things.
Yeah.
And I just thought that like everything is alive.
It's really cool. It's a good moment to remember the like that's not a sun and then like toss the sun and it gets absorbed by another thing that comes after them.
You know what movie this reminds me of? Boy howdy, Disney's Strange World, about a group of 3 generations of explorers going to an unknown world with things are alive inside of it. Crazy. People didn't like that movie either, and they're also wrong.
I really liked in the beginning how Cassie calls Hank Grandpa. I think you guys mentioned that while I was gone. But the line that I also really like is when he makes the pizza big. And he's just saved $8, and Scott's like, I admire you.
Yeah, there's really good character comedy between them for sure.
Yeah.
I just think Michael Douglas is. I really like him in the Ant-Man movies anyway. I think he's really great in them. Surprisingly so. He could just sleepwalk through these movies. But like he doesn't. He like turns in some really fun and kind of like freeing performances. He's not doing a lot, but what he's doing is really fun and really good.
Yeah. Do you guys think this is the last Ant-Man movie?
No.
I hope not.
It had the highest opening out of all the Ant-Man movies, but it's also more expensive than the other Ant-Man movies. So
I don't think it's the last one. I think they'll keep like. I think that they like Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. I think they do want to keep doing that.
I'm just saying, can you imagine an Ant-Man 4 where it's Ant-Man in stature and they do the world height arc and it's just him fighting like a bug kaiju monster? Like it's still small enough scale but big and fun. Come on,
I'm for that.
Yeah, I wish that's what would happen.
Yeah. Let's talk about the post-credit scene.
I actually want to touch on the ending. I do really like Scott's internal narration when he comes back and he's like, I mean, we beat him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we got him. Did we not get him? Did I screw up? I'm not going to worry about it. It's fine. Nothing bad's going to happen.
It is going to be funny watching this movie in like 20 years, like just watching it on its own. Like, oh yeah, I guess I got to watch whatever this is leading into or whatever. Because like the bad guy that we just beat shows up in the next thing you'll watch or whatever. Like, yeah, okay.
So post credits.
Oh my gosh, let's talk about the Council of Kings.
Did anyone want to say anything about Bill Murray?
He's in the movie.
He's in the movie.
I liked it. I thought it was great.
He's funny.
He's her ex-lover. They fought in Revolutions. Like, yeah, he's a fun addition. I will never think about it ever again.
He's so good at being a terrible person.
Yeah.
Like,
I kind of wish they would have bridged like between him and the MODOK stuff, like how Kang treats people. I feel like there was room to. Not that you need to be more of the movie necessarily, but like just fill in some gaps there in the scene because he kind of does. He like walks up to the line of like, you know what you left us with kind of thing, but like he's still serving.
I think you definitely get the vibes,
right?
Yeah, like it would have been I see what you're saying, but I think we got enough, like, just how he acts and how, like,
I just
I'm
want
the
more,
Lord.
I want more than the vibes.
Sure.
I want more.
You want
rich-
substance?
I want substance.
Yeah.
I don't think he deserved to get eaten by that calamari though.
Sorry,
Calamari.
last thing before post credits is I also just really like Scott coming in gigantic as heck and MODOK being like, that's big.
Yeah.
And him coming right at it and Kay being like, oh my god, take him down.
I thought when they're both big moment was funny. Like, you're big too. Like, that's stupid shit, but I thought it was funny.
I wish they were still getting shot at.
Oh, sure.
Like everything just stopped. It was done. And they had their moment, but I wish they like you would see like little pew pew pews going at them.
That would have been good. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Sure. Yeah. Post credit time.
So post-credit scene introduces many Jonathan Majors as Kang's variants. We get Immortus and Ramatut in the beginning.
And then some other guy.
So all the Kang spurts online are speculating. It's not Red Centurion because we see him in the gladiatory arena. You see a big red dude. People are speculating that that's Kid Immortus, who is an evil version of Iron Lad. It could just be a random Kang, but like it is weird that you have like the ones from the comics. You have Ramatut, you have Immortus, and then you just have a rando. So he's probably someone they give him a really weird design. So we don't know. I read a lot of Kang comics, so you guys go first. So I feel like I know what's happening. Like I feel like I know like the trajectory of shit that's gonna go on. I want to hear you guys talk about it first.
So when Kang gets sucked into his to the engine, I thought, okay, so he's probably just getting time warped. He's not dying. But then when in the post credit scene when they say, so he's dead, it's like they didn't kill. It's like these other people killed him, and you must be bummed you didn't get. I was like, okay, so he is dead. We are gonna get a different Kang as like the true.
Is he dead?
Well, these Kangs certainly think so.
These Kangs think so. So I'm going off the word of these Kangs.
We have another post credit scene to talk about as well.
But that's a different Kang.
I'm not convinced yet.
Yeah.
No, because going from the comics, Kang gets defeated by the Avengers, gets sent back in time to 1901, finds Timely, Wisconsin, creates the TVA, all that shit. So unless this is a different Kang, I don't think. Here's my big brain theory. I don't think they're introducing Kang the Conqueror, the one that we just saw in this movie, to be our big bad. He is the Kang that will become a good person. He will be the Kang that helps the Avengers because he will become Victor Timely. He will help them stop Immortus and all them. I read like 30 issues of Kang, so this is all in my brain. This is all a bunch of nonsense.
Do you think he's the Kang who creates the TVA in Loki?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes. Because Loki specifically is like, he's like, that's the meanest guy.
That would track a lot of trajectory if like you look at this like in hindsight as the origin story for the Kang who runs the TVA that we're going to see in Loki season 2. I could buy that.
It's not Loki and not the Loki or not the Kang at the end.
No, it would be. It would be like what
that's the same.
They're all because like where Loki and Owen Wilson are we're going to the other post credit scene, but where they are in the other post credit scene, they've gone back in time to like he lives in the TVA the Kang that Kang created, and he's taking Owen Wilson back in time
to show him the
origin of that guy, but he. In Ryan's theory, could potentially have spilled out to that moment in time from this movie.
That's just speculation.
So, like when he gets sucked into the world engine, spills out to the Victor Timely period where he becomes that person.
Okay.
So, like that, we're kind of getting a kind of through line through the midst of all the Kang chaos.
And this Victor Timely could absolutely just be another Kang, but I think they have a really good trajectory and they have a really cool thing where they can have a good Kang on their Avengers team. And I think the more Jonathan Majors, the better.
So my only counter to that, because like I don't know, nobody knows what's going to happen in the next in Loki season 2 or wherever Kang goes. My only thing about that is Timely doesn't have the scars.
Yeah.
And this Kang does when he dies.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah. I truly cannot believe that we didn't just get, we got Immortus and we got Ramatut, but we got like 1,000 Kangs. We got like the what's the last Star Wars movie called? Rise of Skywalker. We got like that Sith temple, but it's all Kangs. Like again, that is just right from the comics, and that is truly bananas.
More Jonathan Majors, more better.
Yeah. Immortus is I don't know what they're gonna do for King Dynasty, but in the comics, Immortus is the big bad king. He is the king at the end of the world. And he was using King the Conqueror to destroy other timelines for his own purposes. So Immortus would always become Immortus. So like, there's so much bullshit that they're probably gonna do that, like, it's all fun speculation. I don't know. Who knew though? Loki season 2 could just wipe all this out of the water.
They could do really anything with Kang. I mean, they could theoretically make it so that Jonathan Majors always plays a different version of Kang every single appearance until Kang Dynasty, which could just be him playing 5 different versions of Kang.
Yeah. I mean, it's man, that post-credit scene is so crazy, y'all. I just can't believe, because they didn't just show all the same versions of Kang. Like they showed Mr. Griffin, who is the Kang from the 2018 run who bought Avengers Tower. And if you watch Loki, it's the Avengers Tower in that realm has Kang Tower on it. So like this is all this Kang stuff is happening, and like it's all setting up, and like it could have been Wilson Fisk, could have been Baxter Building, but like it could have been Kang, could have been Mr. Griffin Kang who bought that tower. Like all this is in the air. Like it's almost impossible to speculate because they've done the comics, and the comics are batshit crazy. It was really wild being in that theater, hearing him talk like this. And I'm like, what are you doing with your accent? And then he's a pharaoh man. And then he's like an alien man.
I'm so glad we saw Roman Tuck.
Yeah. Like the thing that baffles me, I'm just going to talk about some Kang lore real quick because we're here and I'm just thinking about it. Like Rama Tut was introduced, but he wasn't Kang originally. He was retconned. Immortus was introduced as an Avengers villain, and he wasn't Kang until he was retconned like a decade later. Like all of these villains became Kang years later because they were not cool enough to be on their own. And the fact that they're introducing them all at once is so wild and fascinating, because like they could have done a Fantastic Four is Rama Tut's first appearance. They could have made a Fantastic Four movie where this guy was the villain. But that's the thing. Like this could be it's so crazy. This is probably like the wildest post-credit scene we've ever had. Just because like the limitations are limitless. They could do anything. I don't even know what to think.
I really like the line that he says, that Immortus says, when he's like, they're beginning to touch us. Like they're like the MCU is starting to rub up against whatever the Kang Council is planning. Like they're like the more powerful the MCU kind of gets, the closer they get. And like Immortus and the other Kangs are now looking to the point that okay, this is now a threat. We need to deal with this.
Yes. So so another reason I think Kang might become a good guy is because his whole motivation, much like a Thanos, like Thanos wants to kill half the universe, but for good reasons. He wants to save the universe because it's overpopulated, right? Kang's thing is like, yo, the other versions of me are awful, and they're just wrecking shit, and incursions are happening nonstop. They don't realize they're destroying the multiverse, so I have to stop them by destroying other universes. And I'm like, well, like you're killing people by killing people. Like it's none of it's right. But like he is doing the right thing. He's doing what the Avengers do in Hickman's Avengers by destroying alternate universes to save Earth. So he is doing the right thing technically. And it's going to be a really fun thing if we get to, right before Secret Wars and the Avengers have to destroy universes. And Kang was like, yeah, welcome back to me 20 years ago, baby. This is what I've been trying to do since the beginning. That's fascinating shit. If they do that, then it could possibly rival Endgame. But I don't believe it. Because
I'm curious to see what they end up doing for Secret Wars. There's a rumor that this Kang could become the Beyonder. Like not a rumor, but like speculation that this Kang would be like their, because they did Secret Wars would probably be a version of Battle World, and you can mix and match characters to make this character be the Beyonder. There's really no reason why not.
Sure, the Beyonder is a very old character that is his own character that comes from his own race of Beyonders, which is like I think that's, they could do it, but I just find that lazy. If you're just, we're just gonna make this entire other decades-long villain also Kangs, I think that would ruin a lot of the fun of the original Secret Wars, which is about the Beyonder himself. But like rumors come true these days, so like if that's true, like I wouldn't be surprised.
Sorry, it's not rumor. I misspoke. It's speculation.
Okay.
Or I mean, like, not necessarily make him the Beyonder, but put him in the Beyonder role.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Don't turn him into a Beyonder. Just like
adapt a Kang into playing the role.
I'd rather you, again, just do the comics, but like I understand you got to do your MCU thing. That's fair. Ben, you have any opinions on 5,000 Kings?
Well, real quickly, I just want to say, I'm curious. I've always been curious about Secret Wars because, they either could do. They have three options in my opinion. They could just introduce the Beyonder. They could do Kang, put Kang in the role of the Beyonder, or they could just be like, yeah, Doctor Doom is now this villain because he will most likely be introduced in the Fantastic Four movie that would be I think a year or two removed from Secret Wars. So they've got three options, and I've always been curious about it. But Kang Dynasty is the one where I'm like, we're gonna see some weird shit.
Yeah, I'm in my fun speculation on this, but they're definitely going to introduce Doctor Doom to be part of Secret Wars. Like that is inevitability. I do think that, like Hickman's Avengers, Doctor Doom is the one who becomes the hero of the universe. So like, Kang can be the bad guy, and then Doctor Doom takes his omnipotent power, and then that's how Secret Wars happens. So like, it could still be Kang as our primary villain, and then oops, it's actually Doctor Doom. This whole thing is Doctor Doom's orchestration. Like that could all still happen. Which is fine. Their connections in the comics have only become more and more connected over the decades. So like, that's fine.
I just really hope that the road forward to Kang Dynasty and beyond is littered with Jonathan Majors. I don't want them to blow their whole Majors load on Kang Dynasty. I want it to actually.
We need more than one
license stretched out for a long period of time.
Oh, we need more than one major load. I agree.
Ben, final thoughts, and why don't you rate it?
On the whole film. So like I said earlier, I liked the whole film, and to touch on the 1,000 Kings, even the final post-credits scene with Loki and Mobius, sorry, wrong Marvel character,
Michael Morbius.
I liked it. The Council of Kings was absolutely terrifying. Like Mag is in the comments, he said the audience as Jonathan Majors as Kings is funny and scary. I agree. Grayson also said that he don't think it's the same thing, that King was alive, but then the other King said he was dead. So I know this is not the end of Jonathan Majors' run as King, obviously. King will return, obviously. No, Grayson, I'm not going to. Final thoughts, it's enjoyable, but I like the other Ant-Man films more. One of the strengths of the Ant-Man films is the ensemble. And as much as I did enjoy the smaller ensemble in this movie,
that's the Council of Kings.
That's a lot of Kang.
The Avengers from the 80s, baby.
That's a lot of Kang.
A lot of Kang.
As I was saying, even though this film has a smaller ensemble or a different ensemble, if you will, to me they just don't bring a candle to what the original ensemble is. That's including Judy Greer, that's including Michael Pena, and the rest of the squad of Scott's friends. But all in all, Cassie was still fun I still enjoyed Cassie quite a bit, and this movie does set up something for later on down the MCU. But but if you were to ask me which of the three Ant-Man films I would like to watch more, probably the first one, probably the original one. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I flip flop between the first and second one, but besides that, the final rating, I give it a 7. It's still a fun movie. It's still a fun date night. It just doesn't go, oh my god, Yeah.
I'll agree with that. Ant-Man and the Wasp is in my top 5. So I was ready to love it. And it's mostly pretty good. I'll give it a 7.5. I think Kang is awesome. There's a part of me that just wishes this could have still been a Quantum movie, but maybe have MODOK be the bad guy, and have the personal stakes kind of be the main core of it. But Kang is awesome, and seeing 5,000 Kangs truly blew my mind. That is probably my favorite post-credit scene that we've had, just because the bringing comic books to life has never been more insane than that moment. Seeing 5,000 Jonathan Majors in a Coliseum. Thank you. 7.5.
Sparks?
Excuse me. Sorry. I had a big yawn inside of me.
Big yawn.
I think that part of it for me comes from this place of wanting this to be the Ant-Man movie that got everybody to be like, oh, great. Ant-Man movies are really good, actually.
Yes.
And feeling like the potential to have pulled that off was there, and it didn't quite hit the home run I think it should have, because I do feel like there's an amount, in a way I haven't felt for a while in the MCU, of like really forcing up we're setting up the future kind of storytelling rather than we're focusing just right here on the story here. And while I like to see Kang and Jonathan Majors and everything, I'm not saying I necessarily want them out of this movie. I just wanted a bit more of the Ant-Man heart and character growth, not just for him, but for his characters around him that I used to from the Ant-Man films. But I still really enjoyed it. I had a great time overall. I think the performances are really strong. There's just, again, like that hope problem is, I think, really key and at the center of why some of the stuff is missing and lacking. But I had a lot of fun. I still would put it up pretty high. It's an 8 for me, so make of that what you will.
Hell yeah.
Marty?
I thought it was a lot of fun. I know that like I have a lot of negatives and stuff like that. Like the humor is funny. It's a funny show. When watching the trailer, when I watched the trailer, I was like, "Oh crap! Like this is gonna be intense," and like this Kang's gonna be intense. Everything's gonna be super intense. And then when watching the movie, it's like,
holes.
Okay, this is funny. That's funny. All right, there's some humor there, and it's good humor, but it's just so much of it that like frightening storyline that exists just wasn't demonstrated. And it was kind of like, all right, so cool. Yeah, I like this, but like I just wish there was a little bit more to it. So 7.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'll feel differently later. I have a tendency to turn on a lot of MCU projects that I'm pretty hot on lately, except for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I stuck with that one. But as it stands, I had a really good time. I really liked it. I said in the beginning I loved it. I think I did love it. Like, you know, maybe I'm trying to convince myself I did. That's certainly a possibility. I've done that before, but like right now, I just really liked this movie. So I give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a lot. I don't think there's like a wide gap between you and the rest of us. I think it's like, you know, a smidge more of it worked for you than worked for us.
Yeah.
Well, okay, there might be a bit of a bigger gap between you and Marty, but then the rest of us, like the usual fake nerds, I think we're pretty close to each other. Just, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's a lot to enjoy about this movie.
This movie has, again, Rotten Tomato scores like don't mean anything, but this has a like in the 40s. Ben's asleep. It's this movie's not a 40% bad.
No.
I just look at the reaction to this movie and like frankly, like I'm baffled by a lot of it. I kind of get some of it. Like it's a weird movie, but like I don't know. It works for me.
It's popular to be down on the MCU right now.
It's popular to be down on the MCU. No, a lot of people just don't care about the Ant-Man movies. And this movie, by definition, not being great, that just gives a lot of people like, oh, then they will shit all over it for no reason. Like it is unwarranted. This is probably the most unwarranted hate an MCU movie has gotten in a long time, to be honest.
There was someone like it's gotten pretty popular. A lot of people are using it as an example. I'm not going to name anyone because I don't remember the usernames. But on Twitter, like, you know, somebody gave like a very favorable, like a lot of description about what was really wonderful to them about the film and rated a 7.5 out of 10 at the end.
Yes.
And people were like jumping on that, like, how can you say like all these things are great and then rated a C? And I'm like, what do you guys want? Like
it's
like,
only a 10 or a 0.
They're enjoying the movie so much, and they're saying that plainly, and then they give it a 7.5. If they gave it a 9, you would jump down their throat and saying they're just saying bullshit. Like they're at least being like critical and also acknowledging that they loved a lot of the movie. I don't like 7.5 is not a bad rating.
It's not.
You need to calm down.
There, but also, again, like nuance doesn't exist on the internet.
Also, like it's ridiculous that 7 is considered a C. Like I understand that's our rate. That's the rating system for kids in schools, but it's ridiculous that there's 60% that's just failing. Like that, right. A 60% is not a bad movie. So why is that? Why do we attribute 60% F to 60% bad movie? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Transfer the same thing down to like a 5-star rating. That the 7.5 would be like a 3.5. Yeah. Like that's a 7. Like that doesn't sound like a bad movie to me. A 3.5 out of 5. That's not terrible.
I've said it enough, but like some people just can't accept that movies can be okay to good. Like everything has to be a masterpiece or it is the worst thing ever made. Like people like they won't accept anything greater than a masterpiece. Otherwise, like it's just not worth watching. And I think that's just a shitty way of looking at entertainment, because then you're gonna miss a lot of things. Sometimes you need to see some stuff to know how not to make things.
Especially looking at MCU movies, like you can't go to these movies expecting them to be something that they're just not setting out to be to begin with.
At this point, I feel like you should you should know what you're getting into. Honestly,
yeah, it's your own fault at this point.
Right, it should be a known Quantumania. Anyway, I thought it was a great time overall.
Yeah,
I have problems, but it's again like it's mostly just like I feel like there was more potential on the table than it achieved.
I agree.
Yeah.
Change the school ranking system. Let's go into our book club.
All right, sounds good. We're gonna.
Bye, Marty.
Sorry.
Okay, we're gonna say goodbye to Marty real quick. Bye, Marty.
Bye,
Marty.
He did not leave the book club. Thanks, Marty.
Transform into a 2-person set.
I was a little too trigger happy there. A little too trigger happy on the thingy-mabopper. Okay. Ben, I don't mind the yawning, but the stretching has gotten a little out of hand.
What?
Because you kind of make the big show of how tired you are. Oh, baby, look at my back.
I had to stretch. I had to stretch.
All right, I'm sorry, Ben.
We all gotta stretch sometimes.
It is my book club this week, and I have Star Trek on the brain. I've been, Star Trek Picard has returned. I was really excited about it, and I wanted to read a Star Trek book, and I wanted to try and share a Star Trek book with you guys. So I picked what I was hoping would be a safe bet, which is Star Trek Manifest Destiny, written by Mike Johnson and Ryan Parrott, with art by Angel Hernandez. This is a story about the Kelvin timeline. So Chris Pine, Anton Yelchin, Simon Pegg, those guys going up against Zachary Quinto, those guys going up against
Carl Urban.
I'll wait.
No,
John
I think we got it all.
John Cho. John Cho. This is them going through their version of the Klingons. What do we think about this?
I highly enjoyed it. One of my favorite things about the Star Trek comics, especially back when they were making comic books about the Kelvin timeline, was that 4 issues felt like an episode of Star Trek. And this felt like an episode of Star Trek. And it felt like a really fun episode of Star Trek. I don't really have a whole lot of negatives. This definitely goes into like how the Kelvin timeline era with the Klingons, because the Klingons are part of the Federation yet. They're still at odds. It's like a bunch of Klingons show up. It's like, dude, you just come into war. It's like, yo, I'm independent of the Klingon Empire. The Klingon Empire lost their way. I'm doing my own thing. And even there's a bunch of parts in this book where Chris Pine says, we had to become soldiers. We know we're explorers. And they still try to drive into the fact that we are here to look out and explore. We're not here to go pew, pew, pew all the time. And even though it's like, hey, even though we're out here in space, we do have to go pew, pew, pew. It sucks. And I don't like it. So I still think this is a solid entry in Star Trek comic books. So I had a good time with it. I liked it.
Ryan Sparks?
I also had a good time with it. The thing that I was most curious about is like, will these writers capture the voices of the Kelvin actors? Like will I feel like this is Chris Pine saying these lines? And for the most part, it did. I heard Carl Urban's Bones, Zoe Saldana and all them. Like that all worked for me. I think they got the characters' voices right. I think the story's pretty good. I also don't have a lot of negatives. I liked it a lot. I don't know if I have a lot to say. I think the funniest line to me that I really liked was, "You're my first human kill," and like, "Well, you're my first Klingon patient," and he jabs him with the thing. And like Bones was pretty fun in this.
I'll agree with what Ryan was saying, which is that I think that they do a very good job of capturing the voices of this cast. I think it's very clear. I can hear them when I'm reading it. And I think that was really good. This isn't a negative. I just, there wasn't as much meat as I wish there was. So there's not a lot that I feel like I can talk about, just because it felt maybe a little bit more straightforward than I wanted it to. I think it's well written. Again, like the characters are the characters, and I feel it. something that stood out to me is that I kind of thought that the race we encounter at the beginning was going to circle back around to being relevant, and then they just don't.
Oh, yeah.
And that threw me a little bit because I kind of kept waiting for it to come back into play. I enjoyed a lot of it, though. I had a good time. It's an easy breezy read, and I really like the idea of, you know, this Klingon who is going against their beliefs and focused on his own glory.
It's the little green guy in an outfit,
right? Yeah,
the green screen.
And I like that. I like the sense of the weight of this conflict being upon them. There's some element I wanted something to enrich the story just a little bit more.
So Mike Johnson and Ryan Parrott talked about this book when it was coming out as like the movie that the Kelvin timeline didn't get, which was one about the Klingons, because they don't really have one with the Klingons. They skip them Into Darkness. And that's apparent when you get to like this trade covering that I have has variant covers collected in it that are the new cast, the Kelvin timeline cast, juxtaposed with movie posters of the original cast. And I think that's really cool art. Just want to shout that out. But I don't really think they were altogether successful in that. The idea that this was meant to be like a movie. I think there's some cinematicness to it because of just the Kelvin timeline style is a more cinematic style than the original series. But that's kind of where it lasts. Because this feels more, like Ben said, an episode. Like this feels like an episode of Star Trek, but not really much more than that.
Yeah, hearing that this was like the potential idea of a movie, I'm like, well, I hope there was more meat on them bones for that script then. Because this is like a great like episode of Star Trek, but like a feature movie you only get every like 4 or 5 years maybe.
And like show talk.
I call him Shock Top, which is my favorite beer.
Shock Talk. He is there's not a lot of depth there. And I feel like all 3 of the Kelvin timeline villains had like more to say with their roles, regardless of how much I might have liked the movie they were in, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, you mean
but regardless of that, like even like go back to the first one of them, Nero. Like Nero has stuff that I think adds to his complexity. And like
Nero.
Makes him an interesting villain to want to watch. And this is just kind of like Klingon bad guy, and mainly bad guy because willing to murder without honor, and like that's it. And I'm like that's like one notch below the bad guy from Galaxy Quest. I just wanted a little bit more.
It feels like they're kind of just doing like if this is your first Star Trek book, they're not going to overwhelm you with like a lot of Klingon stuff. Like here's the basics. Here's what you got to know about Klingons. This guy, he thinks that they're not hard enough, and this girl's like, no, we need to go back to the regular way, and like. It is a good fun read, but I wish there was a little more nuance.
Yeah, so if it was,
go ahead, Ben.
No, I was going to agree. If it was to be a movie, I do think there should have been a lot more meat on those bones.
Well, okay, real quickly, it wasn't going to be a movie. They just wrote this as if it was the movie that came out between Into Darkness and Beyond.
Okay.
But I mean, again, like even going back to the idea, I think Ben nailed it in one that like you addressed that like it just feels like an episode, a pretty good episode. A pretty good episode. Yeah.
It has a clear beginning, middle, and end. It has a resolution that feels like an ending of a Star Trek episode, just with a little more oomph where they have to jettison all the coffins of the fallen officers.
It has an arc focused on a specific character, which is Bones. And then it has a secondary arc for the captain, which is present and much smaller, but it's there, which is about the conflict of entering into warfare when you want to be an explorer. It's there. It's good. I'm not knocking it.
Yeah,
I will say.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brandon. Please.
No. I have a lot to say, so you go ahead.
No, but I'm going to change what I'm saying. You look like you were going to respond, so go ahead.
Well, I just think that's something that the Kelvin timeline doesn't really deal with, the fact that they are more militaristic than the Prime timeline. And that was what Discovery rubbed up against when it was adapted. And I'm actually going to talk about Discovery in a minute. But when Discovery was adapted, people were talking about how militaristic it was because they were still rubbing up against the Kelvin timeline aesthetic. Because J.J. Abrams wrongly, and Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman have wrongly situated that the Federation is a military or the Starfleet is a military. It's not. It's an exploratory force. They in Beyond, one of my favorite lines in Beyond is when they're talking about Idris Elba's character Krall, talking about how he was a Mako officer, which was the military from the early days of Starfleet before the Federation was formed. And then Scotty says to like Chris Pine asks, well, what happened to Makos? And Scotty's like, well, we happened. The Federation happened. We're not a military, so we got rid of the Makos. And so like, I like that kind of idea that Kirk is rubbing up against this idea that he kind of serves in a militaristic timeline, but he's still an explorer at heart. He wants to be an explorer. That's what the Enterprise is built for, exploration. I think that's a pretty solid arc that I do kind of wish was meatier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I want to talk a little bit about Discovery.
Okay, real quick. The one interaction, it was my favorite thing in the comic I wanted to highlight, is that I really like when they're talking about the plan to like throw them off and what to do. And Kirk asks Scotty, do you think you can fix the breach? And he says, as long as there's no fluctuation in the containment fields during the reboot process, we should be fine. And then it goes to him and Spock working on it. He says, glad to have your help, Commander. He's like, Mr. Scott, I am detecting fluctuations in the containment fields during the reboot process. And I could really hear Zachary Quinto and Simon Pegg doing that and that landing very funny.
Yeah.
I really liked that bit.
Around this time, there's a lot of talk about what happened to the Orion girl that Kirk slept with at the Academy in the first movie, and her ship was destroyed in Star Trek 09. So everyone was like, "You just killed her," and so like people started rubbing up against that later on. But they brought her into the comics. There was an ongoing comic book series that they brought her into, and then they reference her again in this. And I just think that was kind of a funny point in our Star Trek history that we were just constantly referring back to this Orion girl.
That felt weird, to be honest with you. Like in the context of the comic without that, that like now that you bring that up, like it's like, hey, I'm about to die. And like you, secondary character, you're probably about to die.
The green guy.
I should acknowledge, by the way, sorry about how I sexually,
oh my God,
abused and manipulated your sister in order for me to know how to do the Kobayashi Maru. That wasn't so cool of me. And I was like, oh, okay.
That is the one part that I was like, what? Because like there's this green guy who's been in the background who doesn't really talk, and then in the third issue he's like, hey, remember that thing you did to my sister? And I'm like, wait, what?
The weird part is that Kirk brings it up.
Sorry, yeah, still, he didn't even talk less. Yeah, that green guy looked cool.
Kirk's like, by the way, it's probably been a bit of a while, but I know we've never had a chance to like necessarily be side by side. But I wanted to say like it was really wrong of me to like sleep with your sister just to get answers on that test. One time.
I haven't forgiven you or whatever. That is weird.
No, and then he's like, like in the context of a bar, I probably would have different responses, but in the context of Starfleet, I think you're an incredible captain,
and I'm happy to serve under you. So like,
okay,
don't even worry about
it. Thanks. I don't know why we did this.
Interesting interaction. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about Discovery. It should surprise no one that I have a lot to talk about this book. But Star Trek Discovery came out, I believe, after this book was published. I will quickly scan and hope I can find it quickly. But it was, 2016. Star Trek Discovery would come out a year later, and obviously they were probably breaking the script at the same time. There's interesting dual thought, if not outright plagiarism, happening between one of them. Star Trek Discovery introduces a albino Klingon. For the first time in the live action history of the franchise. And that's like a big deal. It's like, oh my God, it's a white Klingon. Klingons are black. And like this Klingon is like, banished from his house, think he's not welcome. And he finds this belonging in this kind of like, outside clan of Klingons. And they're going to destroy the Federation. Although there's more subterfuge in Discovery than there was in this. I found that very interesting that parallel thought might have happened because that's the plot of this book. The Shok Talk. I believe it. Klingon is a horrible language. The opening of Discovery, the very opening of Discovery, opens with just a Klingon monologue. No, thank you. No, thank you. But I think that's really weird that happened. If there's plagiarism involved, I would not be surprised. Then there's also the D7 Battlecruiser, which is a famous Klingon ship that makes its debut in this one. It also made its debut in Discovery, in a similar way, which is funny, I guess. Something else I want to highlight real quickly is that this collection has the first issue in Klingon. That's just kind of cool.
That is fun. That's cool.
Yeah, so you can learn Klingon the comic book way.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the villain's kind of one note, unfortunately, as Sparks said, said so wisely. Even John Harrison has a little bit more meat on his bones. Khan.
Stop. John Harrison. That's
John Harrison.
Henry Harrison.
As much as I despise Into Darkness and the reveal that John Harrison is Khan, but there's still meat there, even on all of them. But he's just kind of like, I was banished by my house because I was seen as an ill omen, and now I'm just going to kill all the Klingons in the Federation. Whoop-a-doop. Like, cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, I guess.
We haven't talked about the art at all. I think for the most part, it's good. There are definitely, because I am big about like facial expressions. There's a lot of facial expressions that don't match what the people are saying. And a lot of times they'll just be open mouths. And I'm like, I don't know what you're supposed to be feeling right now. I know what you're saying, but you just look like you just have a open mouth right now.
It isn't as bad, nowhere near, but it does remind me of like the Alien issues where it felt like, not that I'm saying there's tracing, but it did feel just as much like I'm beholden to the reference photo I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how to change too much of the face with here.
And the thing is, like, there are some really good shots, but then there's just like, I don't have time for this. Big open hole, big open mouth.
There's one in particular I remember of Scotty that I was like, that just suddenly stopped looking like Simon Pegg.
There's one Uhura where she's like saying something like yelling, but she's just like, and I'm like, what? What's the oh? Like, what's going on? It's good art though. Like, it definitely it looks like all the characters, and like I like the Klingons. Like, they have cool black masks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like the armor helmet, their helmets.
Yeah, there's a lot of good scenes in here. I do kind of wish they dealt more with splash pages, because there's this one bit up here that's just in the corner, which is this kind of battle page where I was like, that could have been a splash page.
It felt like it should have been.
Yeah.
More battles, please.
And like I understand that like Star Trek's not about battles, but like the Kelvin timeline has space battles, and they're cool. Like,
The Beastie Boys.
But yeah, I do think the art is pretty good for the most part. I like the I think they get the likenesses right 90% of the time on all the characters. Yeah.
And I don't know his name, but I really do love that little green guy that Scotty hangs out with.
Oh, Keenzer.
Keenzer?
K-E-E-N Zer.
Keenzer. I like that guy. I like his little bubby eyes.
King Caesar.
Oh, it's a
King Caesar.
All right. Is that it, Brandon?
Yeah, that's all I got, unless I remember something later.
No, I liked it.
It was nice to revisit these characters, considering we may never see them again.
It did make me want to watch the good movies again.
There are two great movies. It's true.
There are two amazing movies. I really
great
like
movies.
I like 09. The 09
I'll tell you what,
Star Trek hardcore.
I think Star Trek 09 is one of the best modern blockbusters of our time. I think that movie, if you're not a Star Trek fan, is an incredible blockbuster. Incredible blockbuster.
Look, even though my dad got me to start watching Star Trek for The Voyage Home, it was Star Trek 09 where I was like, I want to watch Star Trek, and then we started TiVoing the original episodes, and then it's like, yay, I love Star Trek.
No, for real. Like, I think Star Trek 09 is a really good movie. I also think it was really good when it came out originally as Star Wars, but I do think it's a really good movie. I like Star Trek Beyond a bit more, but I'm
Beyond
I'm
is
sick for that one. I love it.
I'm a whore for Beyond. I'll watch that movie a bunch. I love that movie.
I love Beyond.
Motorcycles.
I need to rewatch that movie. It's been way too long since I last saw it.
I like the Kelvin timeline. I dropped off their comic book and a little while, but I thought that the comic for the most part always captured their voices, and it felt like I was following these characters
That's
all
great.
the time. So okay, Ben. So we're gonna skip Sparks.
How dare you?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, because Sparks has a wonderful vacation coming up, and I'm really happy for him, and I hope you have a good time.
Thanks. I'll see y'all in 3 episodes.
He's going to
France. You saw that too.
Of course I did.
France. So I assume it's my turn to do the book
Yeah. So
clubs.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna skip Sparks' turn in the book club. Just go straight to bed and then continue the cycle. By the time we get back to Sparks, he will be home safe and sound.
Yay.
In theory.
Unfortunately, I don't know what my book club is off the top of my head because when I found out this news, it was right before we started recording, and I was like, "Oh, oops."
Well, that's because you don't read my texts, Ben. That's because you don't read my texts.
Grayson says enjoy.
Thanks, Grayson.
Enjoy France.
Ben, just pick Chris Cantwell's Iron Man that I bought you. Yeah,
I haven't done that one yet, have I?
not yet.
Okay. Well, we'll announce his book club over the week, so stay tuned for this. So be on the lookout for the social medias. Okay, that's it. Next week, most likely Cocaine Bear. I feel pretty confident in saying.
Sure. Let's see if I can make it to the theater.
Yeah.
You got that, and we have a Ghost both come out this coming weekend, so you got wiggle room.
Yeah.
I want to see Cocaine Bear really bad.
I kind of want to
too.
see Cocaine Bear too.
But I work the weekends. So.
I can't tell you enough how sad I am that I'm probably just not going to see it in theaters because I'm not going to go without you.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for that, and we'll and if it's not that, it's not that. We'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
Cool. So guys, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. You can check out all sorts of shows. We greatly. Are you being an Air Force flight attendant? Are you being a flight attendant right now? Just mind
We
me what
said
I
like
say.
and subscribe.
Yeah.
Be
You got
cool.
it.
Real quick, while you're doing that rigmarole, we go through the rigmarole every week, but we are slowly gaining new subscribers. So y'all, I know if you listen to this podcast, you probably listen to a million other podcasts. It is actually really important to hit that like button. It is so easy. Because you hit that like button, that means other people can get recommended that you like the video. So please, just once hit the like button. And if you want to subscribe, I'm not even gonna ask you to do that tonight. Just like it. But you should subscribe too.
I agree.
Or if you're listening to us on the audio feed, it's also super important to rate us and review us. That helps a lot too. We don't bring that up a lot, but it is important.
It's also true.
It totally is.
I should bring it up at the beginning. We just always have so much to talk about in the beginning.
These are long episodes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes.
5-star runtimes, baby.
As they said, definitely like this video, subscribe to this channel, rate us on iTunes, on your podcast catcher of choice. That is how we grow. We've been steadily seeing some growth. I'm really happy with that. But a little bit more doesn't hurt. And you do that by supporting us.
Thank you, Grayson.
Yeah,
Grayson, thanks for commenting on one of my Batman videos that I filmed 10 months ago. Thank you. It really made me happy. I'm going, oh, thank you. It makes me want to stream more.
So guys, you can check out all sorts of other shows on this channel. If you like this video and subscribe to this channel, you can't do it otherwise. We'll know.
It's true. We have the analytics.
You can check out our series Fake Nerds Watch, which is now in audio format. Lots of audios dropped on Fake Nerds Watch, so be sure to check that out on the audio feed. And of course, check out the current Fake Nerds Watch series, which is The Last of Us. Sparks and Ryan are doing The Last of Us.
That's true. We got one more episode before I'm gone.
Yep.
Then we're on a break.
Yeah.
We were on a break. What's that from? Friends. Cool. Basement Arcade. You can check out Basement Arcade, which is our Let's Play series. Basement Arcade Pause Menu, which is our video game discussion series. Yeah.
I was going to say for Fake Nerds Watch, keep an eye out for Picard as well, because Picard's coming soon.
Yeah, I hope.
Maybe.
I'll bring that up. That's different.
Okay.
It's a different show.
No, I know.
What show?
We'll get there.
Okay. Well, Fake Nerd Book Club. This is another show on this channel you can check out. And Animation Station, which is a channel on the show. Is that it?
True.
Yeah, keep an eye out for Animation Station. There's probably 2 different episodes that we have coming up on the horizon. One I know for sure I'm recording this week, which is with Ben. We're talking about Sonic Prime, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, we are.
In the next couple weeks. And then one that's still up in the air, but might happen.
No, it's happening.
Okay,
as long as you have it.
it's happening.
It's happening. As long as you got time.
We're going to talk about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. You know what? I'll talk about it here because if I talked about my week, it's the only thing I would have brought up. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur looks awesome. The animation's incredible.
Yep.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm 2 episodes in, and I love it.
We're
probably going to talk about it.
It's true.
Excellent. Love it. And hopefully Cookie and I can coordinate our schedules to get Star Trek Picard, because again, I really like that first episode and I wanna talk to him about it.
Or perhaps even another mystery host.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to get her on. Oops, them on. Whatever.
Who knows?
Everybody's tuned out by this point. Patreon and TeePublic are also ways you can support us. We greatly appreciate any financial support you can throw at us. We have some cool T-shirts and some cool. No, not really. Patreon's there if you wanna. It's fun. It's there.
Bye, Mag. Thank you for stopping by.
Good night, Mag. And of course, Grayson. Good night, Grayson.
You're the best, Grayson.
We always appreciate the people in the chat room. We have a small chat room, and I kind of like that because we get to be a bit more intimate with the people who chat in it.
Intimate.
You can check out our all those links in the description below, or on our website at FNBookClub.Star, where you can find links to everything, quite literally everything. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci. Nope. Thank you to the listeners. Thank you to everyone who listens to this podcast. Thank you to everyone who watches the live show. Thank you to everyone who watches the rewind. We greatly appreciate all of your support. Quite frankly, like, even just clicking on that video and getting it up to 8.8K views is quite something. I don't even care if you watch the whole Black Adam video. That's an incredible number that we have on our channel.
We just need to start every video with Ben yelling mid, and that'll probably get 8K at least.
We also just need to label every video a Black Adam review.
This one's going to go up as a Black Adam review.
Cocaine Bear, Black Adam review.
Right, and it's always at the beginning. It's a tiny Black Adam review, and it's just Ben, even if he's not on the episode, saying it was mid.
Anyway, Cocaine Bear.
So thank you to Jimmy Vellucci for all the musical themes you heard here tonight, and all the musical themes on all of our shows, and perhaps more things in the future. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci _Wreck of Time, or you can find his podcast Suburban Proctologist on Instagram at Subproc Podcast, or Facebook at Subproc Podcast on Instagram, Facebook Suburban Proctologist Official, or it's on iTunes. I decided to do this without looking this time.
That's okay. Can I riff for just a quick moment?
Riff it up, Buttercup.
I just want to say, we've all been doing an incredible job on this show lately. I know that these two particular boys upstairs, they've been quite busy lately. I know there's 2 pause menus in the bank, right, Ben? And there's a lot of another show that Brandon's got in the bank. I've seen that they're sitting there. And then also, I'm sure you guys talked about it up top, but I'm so happy we did that MikeMignola Phase 4 discussion. I've been riding the high from doing that with you all for a while. Mm-hmm. Anyway, my point just being, I'm about to be gone for 2 weeks. You guys are doing great. I love doing this. We're doing great.
It's true.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Look at us. Eating hot wings, talking about Paul Rudd. Sorry, Paul. Wish you could be here.
We have plenty more things in the pipeline that it's very exciting to do. I've got so much Indiana Jones stuff I want to just throw on this channel, so we'll see what happens. Cool. Where was I? Yes, MikeMignola. Speaking of our good friend MikeMignola, you can check out our Phase 4 rankings right here in the link below or on this channel. MikeMignola is a wonderful guy. We love him. He loves us. We have it on proof. We have video evidence of him saying he loves us. We did it, guys.
Take it to court.
At MikeMignola on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you. Sorry, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That's us. All Fake Nerd Podcast. FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CBR.com, AtomicGeekdom.com, which I just released a new revisiting the Infinity Saga piece. You can check that out. And Kaiju Ramen Media, KaijuRamenMedia.com, where I also edit. Ben.
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, and GoNintendo.com. And also, if you guys are checking out Fusion, just FYI, I'm not in issue number 40, which we just got here in the United States, but issue 41 I am in. So just keep an eye out for that. And you can also find me playing Mary Frankenstein on D & Dark alongside Grayson, who's in the chat. He plays the Invisible Man. I play Frankenstein Monster. So go ahead, check that out. Once again, link is in the description down below. And as Sparks said, there are 2 pause menus in the bank, so look out for those in the near future.
Ryan.
Hey, y'all. You could find me trying to figure out Kang's complicated history in comics at DJ Tony Snark 616.
Sparks.
You can find me. Nope, you can't. I'm in Paris. Sorry about it. I'm going to be riding Avengers Flight Force, nerds. You can find me at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ.
Is it French Captain America?
I don't think so.
So only part of the ride is in French. A few of the actors speak in English.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Even though I didn't go there, I know this because when they were there, I was totally looking at Fanny and my friends' Instagram stories to try and live vicariously through them because I'm still mad.
Like this one, it is me, Captain America. I just want to hear that. I think it'd be funny.
It is me, Captain America.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what's a real mistake? That they don't have a Bon Voyage at the Disney Paris Resort. That's in the opening of Incredibles. He's the bad guy. Bon Voyage.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good
Monsieur Incredible.
That is that is such a good name for a villain. Too.
It's very
God, brilliant.
Bon Voyage.
Sparks.
Yeah.
You said something very nice about myself and Ben, and I just want to say thank you for all the work you've been doing this year so far. We showcased the Cinephile logos up top on the episode. They are gorgeous.
I had no idea.
I'm so grateful to have you on this journey with us. You put in a lot of effort and a lot of work, and it's the grease that keeps the podcast going.
Well, thanks, man.
I thought it was bacon grease.
But you guys have specific shows, but I praise Ryan too. Ryan's doing.
I'm just here.
Nah, you're doing a lot.
But I said that because I wish you a good honeymoon, and we will miss you, and goodbye. Yeah, that's the word. Goodbye.
It's okay. I picked the right time to go. The 2 weeks when there's not major content. So
yeah.
I say that, and then like the biggest news, like you guys are gonna have an all news topic. It's
James Gunn gets fired.
Like Jesus, like
don't you put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby?
Yeah.
All right, guys, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time we see us, guys, stay fake nerds.